One Piece: The Legend of Creation, Chapter 421-440. 421, Defeating Dongxian Wants. Wake up, dream. Kasuga Yachinliu saw that Dongxian wanted Bankai, but he was not to be outdone, and his pink mouth spit out his own Shikai emancipation language. The people outside only saw a huge black barrier, but the moment Kusaka Yakiryu completed Shikai, a powerful pink spiritual pressure rose into the sky, much stronger than before. It was obvious that Kaoru Yachinliu was already hiding her powerful spiritual pressure, and she even sealed her own spiritual pressure for this. At this moment, she was all liberated. Obviously, she and Zengi Kenpachi belonged to a huge spiritual pressure. To be unable to suppress the hidden god of death. Kaoru Yachinliu's pink spiritual pressure seems to contain a terrifying impact. Unlike the usual death god, it can only give people a sense of oppression, or directly press people who cannot bear the pressure of spiritual pressure, death god, and virtual pressure. Lie down on the ground. Before, Kaoru Yachinliu knew that Dongxian wanted to fly out and spit out a few mouthfuls of blood just by relying on the spiritual pressure. But this pink spiritual pressure seemed to have turned into a laser and penetrated directly through Dongxian wanting from above. In Yanmo Cricket's face, everyone can clearly feel this very unique spiritual pressure. Her ability seems to be able to directly turn Reiatsu into an entity and attack. No, it shouldn't be that simple. At that time, before she had Shikai, she could make Reiatsu burst out with the attack power needed to damage Tosen. So now Shikai shouldn't it would be that simple. Quote. Aizen is a person who is good at analysis. In his mind, there is a continuous analysis of the grass deer Yakianu present in the present Yimu screen, guessing the ability of the grass deer Yakianu. Hey, Kenpachi, will it be alright? She's just a little girl. If something happens to her, it would be terrifying for Xiao Kongkong to break out. Hiriko Meiko asked worriedly. Although the scene of Kusakaya Yachianryu hitting Fei Dongxian just now also fell into his eyes, but because of her petite body, many people would subconsciously think that she a girl who didn't grow up. How old is Yachianryu? Zaragi Kenpachi looked at Hiriko Meiko with the same eyes as an idiot, and actually said a little girl. Maybe only Hiriko Meiko, who cares and messes up, can say such a thing. Why are you so at ease? Could it be that Bachinliu is really that strong? You must know that the current situation is very unfavorable for Bachinliu. You can't be injured, even once. The day that the muscular man Kenpachi Zaraki despised, his face became hot, so he had to change the subject. I once asked such a question 100 years ago, but Lu Qingkong just left a sentence that he was going to leave, and no one could keep her. Although it didn't explain how strong she was at that time, I think it is possible to have such an evaluation 100 years ago, and no matter how weak the strength of the 8,000 streams is in 100 years, it is impossible to be weaker than you. Zaragi Kenpachi shot Hiriko Meiko, looking at his thin body and said. Jin, what's her strength? Aizen lowered her head and asked Ichimaru Jin, who is still a beautiful boy. It's really hard for me to answer this question, because it's the first time I've seen Yakian out of hand. Ichimaru Jin said with a rare seriousness. Obviously he wasn't lying to Aizen, he was indeed seeing grass deer Yakian for the first time. Hands out, otherwise his face wouldn't show a trace of seriousness just now. Oh, so what do you think the odds of winning are? Aizen was the first to realize that she would ask someone in such an uncertain tone. Usually, when he asks Ichimaru Jin or Toxian, his tone is affirmative. Obviously, he is not asking others at all, but he seems to have something to show off his wisdom. He should be telling Ichimaru Jin not to play tricks. In my wisdom it is easy to see through you. There is no doubt about defeat. Ichimaru Jin raised his head and said word by word. Why do you say that? You only need to slash the opponent to decide the winner. Aizen was really surprised now. If he hadn't known that Ichimaru Jin was a person, Aizen would have thought that the person in front of him was a lunatic. Or the spirit is suddenly stimulated. Can you escape in front of old man Yamamoto 100 years ago? Ichimaru Jin didn't answer Aizen directly, but asked instead. I'm sorry, although I don't want to admit it, but if it was me 100 years ago, I couldn't escape from the hands of old man Yamamoto. Aizen said with a regretful expression, but he was stunned at the same time. Ichimaru-jin didn't mean it. That is to say, the grass deer Bachinryu can escape in the hands of old man Yamamoto, so how strong will he be in 100 years? In fact, this is nothing more than Ichimaru-jin deliberately misleading Aizen. The reason why Kusaka Hachikyu could escape even facing old man Yamamoto 100 years ago was entirely because of her ability, not her strength. Of course, Kusaka Hachi 100 years ago Chinryu's strength is not weak. After all, whether the Zanpakuto's ability is strong or not basically depends on how strong the user's strength is. Just when Aizen was secretly shocked by the power of Kusaka Yakiryu, and also suspected whether Ichimaru-jin was lying, suddenly there was a deafening sound like a thunderbolt from the Yanmo cricket in front, and at the same time, the outside of the Yanmo cricket appeared. A huge crack. A click followed by a burst of dazzling pink light flashed out. Yan Nightmare Cricket was actually broken by Kaoru Bachinryu directly from the inside. You must know that the original Zengmu Janpachi is not familiar with Dongxian Yao's ability. This is the first time in the face. He was also severely injured, which made him unable to support Benkai and shattered. Now Kusaka Yachinryu actually directly broke the space of Yanmo Cricket. From this, it can be seen that her strength and her Zanpakuto ability all are very powerful. At the same time, the two people who had been hiding inside also showed their faces. Dongxian was bruised and squatted on the ground with blood all over his body. He was obviously maimed by Kaoru Bachinryu, and he was still too maimed. Kind of. On the other side, Kaoru Yachinryu's body was surrounded by a light ball made of pink spiritual pressure, like a protective shield, floating in the air, unscathed, and even his face was calm. It didn't seem like an experience at all. A battle, and a hard battle that has been stripped of the 5 senses other than touch. Whether it's Aizen, Mako Hirako, or even Ichimaru-jin, or Gintetsusai and Urahara Kazuki who just arrived and are ready to attack or rescue at any time, they all fell in their hearts. Take a breath. Aizen. Just when Aizen was thinking about whether to retreat, a voice full of anger burst out from the sky, causing Aizen to shout out in a conditional launch, retreat. Since you're here, don't you want to leave anything? That's right, Lu Chengkong also arrived. He talked a lot from when Janba appeared to save Junzi to when Kaoru Bachinryu and Dongxian were about to fight. In fact, not much time had passed at all, and it was obvious that Lu Chengkong was here at full speed. 422 Blue Dye Injury Retire. Break it. Red apricots in the snow. Lu Chengkong came as fast as a sharp arrow that had been off the string. Seeing that Aizen asked Shikai to use Jinghua Shuiyu to completely hypnotize himself and then easily retreat, where would Lu Chengkong give him this opportunity? Use it directly, the fastest and most sneaky attack, the red apricot in the snow who was caught off guard by the enemy. Bounding the way. 81. Broken Kong. Lan Ran's tone changed, and the first time he fought against Lu Chengkong, he finally understood why every enemy who fought against Lu Chengkong would be led by the nose. The powerful pressure brought by the terrifying Reiatsu, and at the same time, the speed of the move is so fast, and this move is specially designed to hit the enemy. Busy use break empty to resist. Break it for me. Lu Chengkong's voice was full of disdain. The defensive wall created by Duenkong alone seemed to block him and he thought it was too useless, although the red apricot in the snow was not part of the 6 arts of Aohen, the strongest one, but it can also be ranked in the top 3. Click. The next scene really fulfilled Lu Chengkong's conjecture. The defensive wall in front of Aizen was shattered, and it couldn't function as a block at all. If you want to go, Binding Road 61-6 Standlight Prison, take the move, Aizen, 6th Art of Aohen, Ice Blade Bingshin. Lu Chengkong roared, and the Shuiyan Crazy Blade in his hand burst out in an instant. The dazzling icy blue light, the spiritual power in the body melted into the snow drink Crazy Blade like no money. The ground under Lu Chengkong's feet had begun to form a layer of frost, and this layer of frost spread in all directions at an amazing speed. Open. Miao Ran didn't care whether to hide his strength or whether he would expose himself, and raised his spiritual pressure to the limit, because he smelled the breath of death from this move. How could he dare to hide his clumsiness? And directly after smashing the 6-stick-light prison that bound him, he picked up Dongxian on the ground and wanted to leave in an instant, which was completely opposite to the situation in the original book where he exited gracefully and calmly. Die! Lu Chengkong slashed out at the same time as Aizen's shunpo, and at the same time, the surging spiritual pressure spread out in all directions, causing Aizen to slash out. VV's body also paused, containing the ice blade that freezes everything, and smashes all wills, and the air is directly frozen wherever it passes. Boom! Poochie! Two different voices sounded at the same time. One was the sound of a crash, and the other was the sound of smashing the flesh. When the ice blade covering a radius of 100 meters dissipated between the sky and the earth, Aizen, Toxian, and Ichimaru Jin and the three figures themselves has disappeared. The only thing that remained was the minced meat on the ground and a large piece of frozen blood. Obviously, although Aizen barely escaped at the last moment, looking at the minced meat and a lot of blood on the ground obviously told everyone that Aizen's injuries were definitely not light. Even a little bit late may even Bankai fall without a chance to release. It's a pity, I still let him escape. I knew that Bankai would leave him. Lu Chengkong sighed. He knew that at the last minute, Aizen had burst out with his strongest Reiatsu, and concentrated his strength on one point to break through. The blockade of the knife strength attached to his ice blade and ice heart. He fled abruptly, but the same one was enough to kill Aizen half-life. After all, his Jinghua Shuiyu is powerful, but his power is also based on the situation of the person who has been hypnotized. Lu Chengkong was not hypnotized by him, nor would he give him this opportunity, so Bankai does not know, but in Shikai's under the circumstances, Aizen's Kyoka Shuiyu has no effect on those who are not hypnotized. In addition to being sharper, the power is indeed very small compared to other direct attacks or ghost-type Zanpakuto. Attacks on people who are not fully hypnotized. In addition to adding a sense of mystery to make people more fearful, it is to hide the inadequacy of Jinghua Shuiyu. Of course, this is also guessed by Lu Chengkong's understanding of the original book, his current understanding of Aizen, and the performance of the battle just now. To put it bluntly, Jinghua Shuiyu's ability is the most simple as to hypnotize people. If you can't hypnotize, there is nothing too scary, and it can even be said that it is useless. You kid is really scary. You were so arrogant just now. The mighty Aizen had to be severely injured and run away in the face of you, but why did you come so late? Hiriko Mako was really relieved when he saw Lu Chengkong's appearance. After all, Aizen's performance today was so shocking and even a little terrifying. Although he had expected Aizen to be dangerous, he didn't expect it to be so dangerous. No way, I went to save Shanghai, and crippled Kuchiki Byakuya and Kuchiki Yinling. I originally wanted to kill them directly, but I didn't expect to suddenly feel the fluctuations of the blue dye spiritual pressure, so I rushed over immediately. Lu Chengkong directly explained what happened just now, and he was relieved to see that more than half of the masked army had not been blurred. Although 3 people would be blurred, there was no way to do it. After all, even if it was Aizen, I can't say that the plan I set can be perfectly implemented, but there are too many variables. Who would have thought that Aizen would suddenly attack Mako and the others earlier? I see, but I really want to thank Kenpachi and Bachian Ryu today, especially Bachian Ryu. You are hiding deep enough. Bachian Ryu is actually unscathed in the face of Dongxian's request for Bankai. The injury beat him in a very short period of time, which is really powerful. Hiriko Mako showed his dazzling teeth, but the sadness and hatred in his eyes could not be concealed, especially when he saw Hiyori, Fengchao Lujiro and Liuch Kensai. Okay, don't talk about it now. Urahara Kazuki, Garatsusai, are you two going to hide? Lu Chengkong said, looking at the grass on the side. Don't be so rude, Mr. Chengkong. We didn't hide, just to see if we could shade Aizen. Although Urahara Kazuki was giggling, he couldn't hide the seriousness in his eyes. Don't talk nonsense with you. I will give you a few of them in Hyo. Don't think about playing tricks in front of me. Both you and Aizen are studying the blurring experiment, but you are a bit more human than him, and you don't directly take the god of death to test. and I advise you. Don't have any illusions about the soul world, think about the ability of Aizen Zanpakuto, which is completely hypnotized. I think he will use this ability after he leaves to let the 46th room to hunt down and judge you. Plus the 3 people in Hiyori in this situation, Aizen can completely bite you back and say that you are conducting a virtual experiment. Well, that's all I said, how to decide your own choice. After Lu Chengkong finished speaking, he glanced at Matsumoto Ranju and Yachianryu who had put away his Zanpakuto, and took them away using Shunpo, while Zaraki Kenpachi on the other side also followed quietly. 423 Bring Eyes Naneo. Oh, it's really coming and going in a hurry, why can't I talk to people a few more words? Urahara Kazuki's eyes covered by the hat flashed a trace of surprise, but soon calmed down. While thinking about his own affairs in his mind, he also said to Hirako Meiko. Let's talk and talk, bring Hiyori and the others, and treat them as soon as possible, otherwise it will be really late. Okay. Hirako Meiko is not injured or blurred now, and he is very energetic. Seeing Urahara Kazuki's very little serious look, he directly copied Hiyori and knocked out Zaragi Kenpachi. In the past, Hohashi Rojiro and Rokucha Kensai, who were then bound by the shackles of Gurutsusai, followed Urahara Kazuki with other people who were not blurred. He seems to know everything. Does he have someone by my side? Impossible, I haven't told anyone about Bengyu, how could he know? And he even knows everything about Aizen, it's really strange, everything about him is a mystery. Urahara Kazuki pondered for a long time and still could not get an answer, so he put it aside for now. After all, they are very serious in Hyo, and they need to be treated first. Although Urahara Kazuki has a deep mind, and the depth of the city is no less than that of Aizen, there may even have been it's more than that, but he doesn't have the ambition of Aizen. What he pursues is research, and the process of research, so his city government is not used to calculate anyone, and it is precisely because of this that he has such a good relationship with the Masked Legion and others, otherwise, it is like Hirako Meiko. Characters will never be friends with Kazuki Farah, a person with deep scheming. Not to mention that Hirako Meiko and the others who were about to become half-masked and half-dead core, who were undergoing treatment at this time, said that Lu Chengkong did not return to the 11th team after talking with Urahara Kazuki, but returned to the 2nd team and found it. Yoichi is teasing the blushing Shubi while drinking a small drink. Begbie, you go outside and watch, no one is allowed in. Although Yi and Lu Chengkong have not yet had the last relationship, every inch of his body has been explored by Lu Chengkong, and Yi is also used all the places other than Passion and Chrysanthemum Garden to serve Lu Chengkong. Therefore, the understanding between the two sides is also very deep, especially after only 100 years of getting along, seeing Lu Chengkong's expression and guessing that something major has happened. Yes, Broken Bee immediately responded with a serious face, and the blush on his face disappeared instantly, which made Lu Chengkong very admire. The speed of change in his expression was amazing, and only Yi could completely subdue this little bee. After Broken Bee left, Lu Chengkong didn't talk nonsense. He poured out the whole series of major events that happened today. After Yi pondered for a while until it was completely digested, he actually spoke with Lu Chengkong at the same time. Will you take me away? Will you come with me? Haha, it's easy to understand, maybe that's the case. Yi can give up everything he has now for himself, and is willing to become a traitor. Lu Chengkong is also a little moved to pursue being by his side, but they just look at each other and laugh at each other. After laughing, everything was silent, and speaking at this time was already a bit redundant. You clean up. Lu Chengkong asked Lu Anju to stay by Yi's side temporarily, so that he could take care of him. After all, although Lu Anju didn't take action in person, but from the sense of crisis she could bring to Aizen, we could see that at this time. The Chaos Chrysanthemum is simply not comparable to the original Chaos Chrysanthemum. With her and Yi together, no one in the Soul Society would be able to leave this pair together, except for some of the great perverts of the Soul Society, such as Uno Hanalai and his like. Okay. In fact, Yi didn't have much to do. He just left a letter to the Siphon Yuan family and a letter to Broken Bee. Because of Lu Chengkong's reason, Yi Yi didn't go as hastily as in the original book, and he had a lot of time. Thinking about it, Broken Bee shouldn't hate Yi Yi as much as the original book. Who are you? Lu Chengkong just walked out of the dormitory of the 2nd Division. He originally planned to take Bachenliu to say goodbye to Ujawali. After all, although Ujawali only pointed at him, he was already a good friend to him. Benefit endlessly. At least I know that Aizen's so-called boundary between the god of death and the void is just bullshit. It's purely because Aizen didn't find a way to break through and went astray, so he could only use the props of external power like Bangyu. It's just that Lu Chengkong walked out a little bit older than 8,000 in front of Lu Chengkong, who actually wore a pair of glasses and held a book in her arms, exuding a capable and calm secretary all over her body. Temperament. At least Lu Chengkong can see a little bit of Khalifa's unique temperament from her and Lisa Yahomaru. Of course, these two are far from being comparable to Khalifa. My name is Aiz Naneo, and it's the vice captain of Yasuji Kuriza, Ran. Who asked me to come to you? She said, you will take me away. Aiz Naneo said timidly, seeing her pretending to be bold but actually very timid. Lu Chengkong suddenly remembered that Aiz Naneo was very timid when he was a child, and a drop of water on her body would have scared half to death. It's just why she suddenly said such things to herself now, and has such courage. Doesn't she know what it means to let herself take her away? Lisa, you lecherous girl, I'm looking for you to settle accounts when you go to the world. This Aiz Naneo obviously made Lisa Yadomaru not blurred like in the original book because of his own reasons, so there's no need to be in a hurry. She fled in a hurry, so Aiz Naneo had the opportunity to meet Yazumaru Lisa. Maybe she was careful to understand what happened from Yazumaru Lisa's expression to make this scene happen. Nangsu, so do you know what it means to take you away? Aren't you afraid? Lu Chengkong said while pressing his aching head. I know, Liza's vice captain has already told me. It turns out that the gods of death are all so bad. I don't want to be with these people in the serene, and only Lisa's vice captain is good to me. I don't want to be separated from her. Miles, and Vice Captain Lisa said I don't have to be afraid when you're with me. In addition to being a little timid at the beginning, Aiz Naneo quickly calmed down and didn't talk intermittently, and finally blinked his cute big eyes at himself. It's really a failure for you. I hope you won't regret it. Lu Chengkong sighed. It wasn't that he didn't want to refuse, but since Lisa Yahomaru had brought her over, he had obviously told her about Aizen. At the same time, it also showed that Naneo's eyes could be trusted, and from the depths of Naneo's fearful eyes, he saw a trace of determination. That's why he didn't refuse, but directly picked up Aiz Naneo and put it on his shoulders, completely ignoring her squiggly, blushing and shy expression, and rushed to the 4th Division in a blink of an eye. 424 Farewell to Maojawali. Hold tight, don't shake it, I don't care if you fall. Lu Chengkong sighed inwardly that the current girls are really precocious, seeing Aiz Naneo blushing and panting, wiggling, like a girl being teased. It was like home, and she was speechless for a while, but she deliberately pretended to be vicious in order to keep her from moving. Oh, I see. After all, Aiz Naneo is still very timid now. He was so frightened by Lu Chengkong that his face turned pale, and he obediently stayed on Lu Chengkong's shoulder and Bachenliu like a wounded kitten. One on the left and one on the right. Looking at her pitiful appearance really makes me feel pity. Soon Lu Chengkong came to the office of the 4th Division Ujawali. The strange thing was that Ujawali, who should have fallen asleep at this time, seemed to have known that Lu Chengkong would definitely come, with a compassionate and gentle face on his face. Smile. Maybe she was infected by her temperament and smile. Aiz Naneo, who was originally afraid of me, also regained her ruddy face, looking at this with the appearance of a curious baby. The captain of Uno Hanaritsu. I knew for a long time that you would come, so I won't talk about gossip. Take care of Yachinliu. As for Zakagi Kenpachi, who plans to stay and make eyeliner for you, you don't have to worry about his safety. He is Yamamoto anyway. The captain's disciple, and he couldn't find any reason to frame him. After all, in the eyes of everyone, he is a captain who only knows how to fight. It is not as easy as you think to convict a captain, especially a captain with the title of Kenpachi, and although Room 46 is now in power, after all, the foundation not stable, you don't have to worry. As for you, let me give you a word, there is no need to distinguish between the god of death and the void. Whether it is the god of death or the void, to become an existence that breaks the shackles, you must go through all kinds of difficulties and hardships. I hope you can make it through. Mao Xiaowali looked at Lu Chengkong quietly, but of course he looked at Bachanliu with loving eyes, and really regarded Bachanliu as his daughter. Mom, woohoo tilde, Bachanliu may also know that he may not be able to see Xiaowali for a while in the future. Vv's eyes suddenly became wet, his lips pursed, and he rushed to Xiaowali. Outsiders couldn't see any reality, but however, Lu Chengkong rubbed Mao Xiaowali's huge chest device on the coveted chest device, and his voice was slightly crying and reluctant. Okay, I'm not too young anymore, I'm still crying, darling, it's not that I can't see you anymore, if you want me, you can come back, let's go, there are many spiritual pressures chasing after you. A trace of reluctance flashed in Mao Xiaowali's eyes, but he soon recovered the plain but pure love and concern, exuding a charming maternal radiance, patted Bachanliu, and at the same time exiled Bacchion. Went to Lu Chengkong's shoulder and waved his hand, probably not wanting to fight Bachanliu's current appearance. Xiaowali turned around and disappeared directly in front of Lu Chengkong and the others. Let's go. Lu Chengkong took a deep breath, he knew that there might be a bigger battle waiting for him. Otherwise Mao Xiaowali wouldn't say that there were multiple spiritual pressures coming in his direction. For this reason he didn't dare to stay for a long time, so he comforted Yakiryu, who was in a bad mood, and brought Ai's Naneo to increase Shunpo's speed to the fastest. Hurry to the meeting place. Obviously, with Lu Chengkong's reminder and a full understanding of Aizen's abilities and people, they certainly wouldn't fool themselves into the trap, although they were very sad. After all, they all guessed that even if they ran, they would become traitors. Life, and may even be hunted down. After all, there are not a few captains and vice-captains who defected this time. Come on, this is not the place to talk, we are talking in this world. Lu Chengkong rushed to the meeting place at full speed, and found that Lu Anju and Yi were also there. Just as they were going to say something, Lu Chengkong's face changed. He felt that his heart was very depressed, as if some powerful enemy was approaching him, and he did not dare to waste more time. Although there are many people in the masked army who have not been blurred, and those who have been blurred have also completed the treatment, but those who have just completed the blurring, Fengchao Luzhiro and others have little combat power, and they are all responsible. Junzi and the others also need to be distracted and take care of them, and they don't dare to stay for long. Let's go. Mako and the others looked at each other, and seeing Lu Chengkong's serious face, they also guessed something, and immediately used Shunpo to go to Urahara Kazuki and Goroshi Tetsusai, who were already preparing to pass through the gate. Rush. About 3 minutes later, Lu Chengkong and his group had arrived in front of Urahara Kazuki and Goroshi Tetsusai, but they were sweating profusely, and they were clearly still in progress. It was probably the first time they had opened a costume that did not belong to Soul Society. Apart from being unfamiliar with the gate of the world, this gate of crossing the world is very unstable, there are frequent arrests, and it takes a lot of time to open it. It's too late. Lu Chengkong sighed, handed Ai's Naneo and Yakiryu to Yahomaru Lisa and Yaiki respectively, and pulled out the Zanpakuto directly. He had experienced several battles tonight. In the battle, every opponent is not weak. First, Kuchiki Zia and Kuchiki Yinling join forces, and then face Aizen. Although each battle is not long or short, the consumption is still huge. Lu Chengkong, do you still want to walk away after committing such a big crime? The old man Yamamoto's tone was unprecedentedly serious, even with a bit of killing intent. It seemed that he was also tricked by Aizen. After all, if it weren't for Aizen's voluntary admission, no one would want to believe that he was hypnotized, let alone Yamamoto Yuanyujai Shigekuni, who is known as the most powerful god of death in millennia. Take care of the others, Urahara Kazuki, Huling Tizai, you can just open the gate of crossing the world, and leave the rest to me. Lu Chengkong held the Shui Yin Quangdao, and he had already begun to adjust his state in his heart. He knew that he was facing the old man Yamamoto, who did not dare to face directly in the original book. The destructive power and attack power of Zanpakuto can be called the strongest and oldest Shinigami. This time the battle is the most dangerous one. It seems that Hana Lai Uno has already guessed that he will face old man Yamamoto, otherwise he will not say it. To face all kinds of difficulties and hardships, obviously one of them is the old man Yamamoto in front of him. You actually have the courage to draw a knife against the old man. Although I admit that you have great courage and outstanding talent, but do you think that you are the opponent of this old man just because you are now? Give it up, and you won't have to suffer more. The old man Yamamoto did not directly capture Lu Chengkong with the force of thunder, but he persuaded him a little bit bitterly. 425 against the strongest Grim Reaper, old man Yamamoto. I won't know if my opponent can't beat him. Lu Chengkong's eyes changed, cold, indifferent, ruthless light filled his eyes, and glanced at the few people standing behind the old man Yamamoto. Vivi is trembling on the surface, and Jin Ichimaru, who maintains a nursing smile. Of course, the two proud disciples of the old man Yamamoto, Kyoraku Chunsui and Yukitaki Shuru. As for why Aizen didn't go to cultivate with such a serious injury, it is obviously to avoid suspicion, but also to see the strength of the old man Yamamoto at this time, and also to see how strong Lu Chengkong is. He may have guessed that he the second time is to use his own Bankai. If he misses such a good opportunity, Aizen Sosuke will not be Aizen Sosuke. It's stubborn. Old man Yamamoto's face sank. Who is old man Yamamoto? When does he need to persuade a person, and he is still persuading a criminal? Obviously, he has the heart of cherishing talents, otherwise he would have to persuade him earlier. It was gone in one stroke, but since Lu Chengkong said so, he no longer talked nonsense. Vivi exerted force with both hands, and the crutches that were supposed to support the body suddenly shattered, revealing a Zanpakuto about the same length as the Zanpakuto of Zengi Kenpachi, giving people an extremely oppressive Zanpakuto. You are qualified to let the old man liberate the Zanpakuto, which is also a respect for you. Everything is turned into ashes, and the blade is like fire. The old man Yamamoto said word by word, and a burst of energy erupted from his body. The terrifying spiritual pressure, the strength of the spiritual pressure directly caused the air to freeze, and the ground began to crack. Aizen and others directly retreated hundreds of meters. Obviously, they did not want to affect the old man Yamamoto. Drink. Lu Chengkong let out a low voice, and directly burst out that his own spiritual pressure with icy characteristics and old man Yamamoto's spiritual pressure full of terrifying pressure confronted each other. Shinaneo was so frightened that he almost fainted, but fortunately, Hirako Mako and the others released their own spiritual pressure to protect the others. It's too powerful. It's worthy of being the strongest god of death in 1,000 years. It's just this spiritual pressure. Aizen sighed. At this moment, he realized the gap between himself and old man Yamamoto more clearly. If old man Yamamoto hadn't been hypnotized, he believed that he would be beheaded in just a few minutes. The old man is still hot. Jingo Chunsui said softly, looking at the raging flames surrounding the old man Yamamoto in front of him. The blazing high-temperature flames seemed to completely burn the air out, and the nearby air couldn't bear it. The burning of the high-temperature flames showed distortions visible to the naked eye. Ice Blade Bing Heart. Lu Chengkong held up the snow-drinked crazy saber, and he didn't make a move. Facing the old man Yamamoto, he used his current Shikai's strongest trick, the sixth art of Aohen, and the ice blue knives. Light bloomed from the body of the snow-drinked crazy blade and spread out in all directions, so that the originally hot temperature was relieved, and it was also rapidly cooling down at a slow speed. Oh, with your current strength, you can actually make such an attack when you were Shikai. It's not an exaggeration to call you the strongest genius death god in 1,000 years. If you grow up, even the old man may have to abdicate and become a wise man. The old man Yamamoto's words seemed to be admiring Lu Chengkong's strength. In fact, he meant that in the future, you might be able to defeat the old man, but you are obviously not good enough now. The flowing blade is like a fire head style, slashing. The flowing blade Ruahuo, which was burning with high-temperature flames in the hands of old man Yamamoto, slammed out suddenly, and cut directly at Lu Chengkong from such a long distance. The surging heat wave contained the cold swordsmanship he slashed towards Lu Chengkong with lightning speed. Chi. The high-temperature flame, and the low-temperature frost, one intends to burn the other party, the other intends to freeze the other party, and the two stunts collided fiercely in the air. Powerful collision. Broken. The old man Yamamoto was a little surprised, to be able to entangle himself with his stroke for so long without falling into a disadvantage. It's not easy, although this is just the simplest attack of his own, but using his own strength is very powerful. It was astonishing. At present, there are not many people who can follow in the soul realm, but Lu Chengkong did not expect that he would follow Shikai. Although he was surprised by Lu Chengkong's strength, he was more unhappy. He actually blocked his attack, which was too embarrassing for him, so the endless spiritual pressure, like the water of the Yellow River, suddenly increased its output, and with a click, the ice was directly thrown into the air. Blade ice heart shattered. The remaining power continued to swept towards Lu Chengkong at a terrifying speed, and the flames in the sky directly surrounded Lu Chengkong and burned him fiercely. Sister Lisa, will that wicked brother be okay? Although Aiz Naneo was angry that Lu Chengkong had murdered himself just now, she was not a rational person, and as a god of death, there were a few people who would not know Lu Chengkong. Especially for the goddess of death, Lu Chengkong, who has been the #1 handsome guy in the true Central Academy of Spiritual Arts for 100 years, is even more familiar, and she is calm and composed. And see who you are facing now. Maybe it was Captain Yamamoto who was chasing him just now. Girls, especially the younger they are, the more they like to fantasize. Which girl doesn't have a dream like Prince Charming? For the young Aiz Naneo, especially, she stayed with Yahomaru Lisa for a long time. Together. Of course, she was also influenced by her sulky temperament. Although Aiz Naneo's character would not be as selfish as Yahomaru Riza, and it was natural to read pornographic magazines in front of so many people, but deep down in my heart of course, he also has the same sullenness as Aiz Naneo, otherwise, he would not have matured so quickly at a young age, knew the difference between men and women, and would not let anyone touch his precious jade body. No, he is the most powerful, how could something happen? Lisa Yazumaru smiled and comforted her. In fact, she didn't have a clue. After all, she was facing the strongest god of death in the Soul Society for thousands of years, Mr. Yamamoto. Captain, although Lu Chengkong is powerful, he is still too young after all. In terms of the age of human beings in the present world, Lu Chengkong is only 16 or 78 years old. Even after 100 years, he is only in his 20s. Compared to Captain Yamamoto, who has survived for more than 2,000 years, he is indeed worse. It's a long way off, not to mention the accumulation and cultivation of spiritual pressure is a lot of time behind. 426 Bankai finally debuts. Is he dead? Old man Yamamoto's thunder blow is really powerful. Aizen sighed inwardly at the power of old man Yamamoto, while secretly wondering if Lu Chengkong is dead, and his desire for power is even greater. Is this the strength of the strongest god of death in 1,000 years? It's really powerful. Urahara Kazuki secretly looked at the strength of Lu Chengkong and the old man Yamamoto while opening the door to the world. Don't pretend, the power of this old man's blow is at least 80% blocked by you, and the remaining 20% will not hurt you even if it hits you, and even if it hurts you, it won't kill you, come out. Old man Yamamoto, who is the party involved, has spoken, and of course the others have put away their conjectures. After all, the words of the party concerned are the most authoritative. It's really powerful, and the blade is like fire. It is indeed the Zanpakuto with the strongest attack among all the Shinigami in Sarote, but today this legend is about to be broken. Don't you all want to see my Bankai? Aizen, then I'll let you see. Bankai abandoning the gods and Buddhas, deviating from the classics and betraying the way, the magic sword came out. Lu Chengkong's Bankai word spirit is different from other death gods. It is relatively long. The known death god Bankai word spirit is relatively simple. It means to strengthen the full version of Harinmaru, but Lu Chengkong's is obviously different, as if he told others that his Bankai is another Zanpakuto. What a unique Bankai word spirit, huh? How could this be? Even after the powerful Reaper Bankai, at most Reiatsu, the power of the powerful Zanpakuto has been greatly improved, so how can the breath of Zanpakuto and the aura of Reaper be possible? What has changed? It was cold just now, giving people a cold heart with an ice-like heart. Now it is giving people a kind of deviant, unfettered, unfeeling and unrighteous, cutting off all emotions and six desires, but like a demon, violent, full of destruction, and destroying everything. This is basically the aura of two Zanpakuto. Could it be that he or there two Zanpakuto? Impossible, even two Zanpakuto could not be two Zanpakuto with completely different auras. At this moment, even old man Yamamoto was very interested in Lu Chengkong's Bankai. I always thought that I was a ruthless person, but when I feel the breath that Lu Chengkong is exuding now, I feel that I am a god of death with flesh and blood. Aizen didn't know why such an idea suddenly appeared in his heart. Why let Xiaokong Bankai? I don't like you, I hate you. Bachenliu's eyes suddenly turned pink. Lu Chengkong's body changes Bachenliu can feel the most clearly. This Shi Bachenliu only felt that Lu Chengkong seemed to be a complete stranger to him, and the eyes he looked at him were completely looking at a dead object. It made Bachenliu feel as if he was abandoned by the only pillar of his soul, and Lu Chengkong became like this was the death gods in front of him. At this moment, Bachenliu was indifferent to Aizen and others in front of him. Unprecedented murderous aura arose, and the surging pink Reiatsu made Yaiki, who was holding her, have to let go. When the flames passed, Lu Chengkong's current appearance was also revealed. First of all, the clothes on his body changed. He became a black, red and gold border, blue and white background. The dashing, uninhibited, elegant chivalrous costume that is full of streamline and speed beauty. The general appearance of the Snowdrink Crazy Blade in his hand has not changed much, but the color has undergone earth-shaking changes. The original light blue blade has now turned into black gold, surrounding the edge of the entire blade. There is a thin red strip at the place, giving people a feeling of lifeless and slaughtered. The whole body exudes a black and red aura visible to the naked eye, and what is even more frightening is that Lu Chengkong's original black eyes have disappeared, replaced by scarlet pupils, and the inside of the scarlet pupils but it is filled with a layer of pale golden light that seems to be moving all the time. Bankai. No wonder Sufi would tell me to use as little as possible if not necessary. Strong, too strong is easy to break, too strong is also easy to break, too strong to be beyond my control is equal to too rigid and easy to break. Lu Chengkong muttered to himself, but he seemed to be muttering something that had nothing to do with him, because at this time he was simply a ruthless devil who only knew how to kill, and his eyes could be described as devil eyes. His Bankai has the terrifying ability that surpasses all the gods of death. After Bankai is equal to the devil, the magic eye brought by the devil can see the strength and weakness of the enemy, but the longer the time, the more times. Although the power will be stronger each time, the demonic energy in the body will also deepen, and the accumulation will eventually make the user unable to extricate himself. Is it really right that the old man came to hunt him down this time? He really committed such a crime. This is not his character. This guy is notoriously lazy, but there is nothing to do now, so let him look at what unusual abilities your Bankai has. Old man Yamamoto's eyes flashed a trace of surprise and complexity, but it disappeared quickly, replaced by an unrepentant calm and firmness that never regretted. Hee, this kind of feeling is also very good. It's very cool during the battle. Old man Yamamoto, take the move, the first style, the devilish energy. Lu Chengkong's eyes flashed, and the old man Yamamoto who was being watched had a look. A feeling of being seen through everything, and that all his weaknesses are understood and mastered by Lu Chengkong. Impossible. Just looking at me can make me feel like I have nothing to hide. This is obviously impossible. No matter what old man Yamamoto thought, Lu Chengkong's demonic energy had already begun to be released, and bursts of the demonic qi burst out of the body as if it had formed a substance. The magic knife in his hand, which had changed from the snow-drink crazy blade, suddenly slashed out. The invincible blade seemed to have cut through the heavens and the earth. A huge black-red blade with a length of more than 300 meters appeared in the air in an instant. With the will to destroy everything, he slashed at the old man Yamamoto. Oops, the fire is burning the city. The old man Yamamoto's expression changed slightly, his movements were extremely fast, and he didn't dare to neglect him at all, as if Lu Chengkong could really threaten him at this time. The flowing blade in his hand was spinning like fire, filling the sky. The flames poured out, and a tall flame city wall was erected instantly, directly enclosing the black-red blade from the sky and the earth in the firewall. Is it useful? Demons are rampant. Lu Chengkong saw that his demonic energy was surrounded by a wall of fire. Not only did he not feel depressed, but instead laughed coldly. 427, the magic knife of my own. I saw Lu Chengkong sneering at the same time, holding the magic knife in his hand and sweeping out, the incomparably exquisite knife technique one knife after another, like an antelope hanging its horns, like a wild, no trace, exquisite, really worthy of the magic knife. Name. At this time, Lu Chengkong was like a demonic path. Wherever he passed, there was no life left to survive. The ensuing demonic rampage directly pierced old Yamamoto's wall of fire, and not only released the bound black-red blade. At the same time, the more powerful blade that came later was directly integrated with the blade in front, forming a more powerful and huge blade. Wherever it passed, whether it was the sky or the earth, it was ravaged and torn apart. Hot hell! At this moment, the old man Yamamoto has raised Lu Chengkong's position in his heart, and put it at the level of his opponent. The power of the ultimate move is released to the greatest extent, and the flames cover the sky like a sea of fire. Sun's direct cover to the sword in front of him. Haha, it's useless, split it for me. Lu Chengkong raised the magic saber and slashed in the void. The released saber light seemed to be greatly blessed, and its power instantly increased sharply. Using a magic sword, the stronger the moon, the stronger the imposing spiritual pressure on his body, as if he was improving his own strength every moment. Chi. The invincible sword light actually directly divided the sea of fire that covered the sky and the sun into two, and cut the two halves abruptly, as if a knife split the Yangtze River. Looking at the side, Aizen, Urahara Kazuki and others were straight. Take a breath. The power exploded. The old man Yamamoto suddenly Isho. The secret of this trick is not known by anyone except Aizen in the original book when he was fighting with the old man Yamamoto. At least Aizen at this time doesn't know either. That's right, the hot hell just now belonged to the version with no explosive power, but now old man Yamamoto broke out the power of the hot hell, and the power is at least several times before the outbreak. As soon as the old man Yamamoto's voice fell, the sea of fire that was originally divided into two seemed to have spirituality or was controlled by someone, and once again surrounded Lu Chengkong with the two magic swords fused together, and burned it. Oh, you can still block it. Then I hope you can block it later. You are just struggling to the death. The third type, the devil's slaughter. Lu Chengkong let out a cold snort. He was enchanted and even slaughtered the 7 emotions. Demons or even more demons. After this move, there is no hope of surviving. Obviously, after enchanting, Lu Chengkong fought with the idea of beheading the old man Yamamoto. After entering the devil, it is terrifying. The deeper the devil is, the deeper the emotions and desires are, the more ruthless and terrifying. Brush. It exudes a kind of hopeless hope of survival in the enemy's heart, and even a kind of wanting to wield a knife to commit suicide, directly penetrated the hot hell, and slashed at the old man Yamamoto with lightning speed. On the body, the old man Yamamoto could only resist with a fire-like instinct. Obviously, the old man Yamamoto was shocked by this type of magic sword just now, and he had a brief absence. The magic eye immediately saw a huge weakness. Lu Chengkong raised his power to the extreme without reservation. No return. It's amazing, you actually suppressed the old man. Jingle Chunchui's eyes widened, looking like he had seen a ghost. Chun Shui, hit me up to see if I'm dreaming. Shiro Yukitaki's expression wasn't much better. As old man's disciples, none of them understood the old man's power better than them. To actually see a young god of death, who is their junior, suppress the most powerful god of death in their hearts, their mood is really complicated. Snapped. Ah, it hurts. I told you to hit Chunshui, but I didn't tell you to do it so hard, but it should be true. Shiro Yukitaki covered his hot face and complained to Jingle Chunshui for a while, and then said. At the same time, the sweaty Urahara Kazuki on the side of the old man Yamamoto was blasted out by the demonic slaughter that his power had been raised to the extreme. Go in. The enchantment is getting deeper and deeper. Lu Chengkong, who was planning to go forward to make a knife and continue to fight, suddenly stopped after hearing this. He has not been emotionally passive at all. To outsiders, it seems that Lu Chengkong has really cut off his emotions and desires. For the first time in the sky, a struggling and hesitant look appeared, as if his mind was fighting fiercely. This was obviously a struggle against demonic nature and demonic chi. For the first time, Benkai had tasted the power of being possessed by demons and suffered the temptation of demonic chi all the time, which made Lu Chengkong start to feel a little helpless. Fortunately, Kazuki Urahara shouted, otherwise Lu Chengkong, who had no experience with Benkai for the first time, might really continue to fight. Although the power of the magic sword would become more and more terrifying, it could be called the only magic sword. The deeper you go, the more likely you will be unable to extricate yourself. Even if you can wake up, it will definitely be much more difficult than when you wake up now. In the end, it seems that he has defeated the demon and shouted. It should be said that this is the victory. I will not know it in the future. Every time I enter the demon is a test of my will and perseverance. After speaking, the demonic energy on Lu Chengkong's body began to dissipate at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the magic knife in his hand also changed back to the snow-drinking crazy saber. The clothes with black, red and gold rims, blue and white background clothes also changed back to the clothes and shoes that Khalifa and Hancock sewed for themselves. Lu Chengkong, who had a smile on his face and looked very peaceful, turned the murderous Bachinliu into a good baby in an instant. The pink spiritual pressure that was soaring to the sky disappeared immediately, and then a sprint like a swallow thrown into the forest immediately disappeared. Submerged into Lu Chengkong's arms, Vivi's body trembled like a little loli longing to be loved. The change was so great that Mako Hirako and the others were stunned and looked incomparably surprised until Lu Chengkong walked over and shouted. Old man Yamamoto recovered immediately. Don't look at him vomiting blood. In fact, he just lost his mind for a moment. I can take advantage of my lack of concentration. It's not even a minor injury. Why don't you just leave and want to die? As Lu Chengkong said that, he pulled Yi and Luanju, and rushed in first with Bachinliu in his arms. Kazuki Urahara and Tetsusai looked anxious as they rushed in, as if they would be slower. Like life-threatening. It's too treacherous, wait for me. Hirako Mako screamed strangely, but when he felt the heat wave getting closer and hotter behind him, Hirako Mako woke up, and the old man Yamamoto was angry. Can a volcano erupt after being wounded by a young genius who is only over 100 years old in front of so many captains and vice-captains? If you don't go, you will die immediately. With this idea, Hirako Mako and the others rushed in without saying a word. The speed is faster than the old man Yamamoto's shunpo. Obviously, the potential between life and death is here. It exploded in an instant. 428 comes to the world. Captain Yamamoto, what should we do now? Go and hunt them down in this world. Aizen Suo Yusuke looked distressed, as if he was indignant at what Lu Chengkong did. No, if they go to the virtual circle, they can still hunt them down, but they didn't have much preparation in the present world. The present world will definitely not be able to withstand the battle between this old man and Lu Chengkong, and you think we will only face Lu Chengkong when we chase after them. 1. The weakest people in the group are at the level of vice captains, and there seems to be a hidden ability that can explode at any time in the body. The old man sees that 3 of them are in a weak state now. After the body recovers, it is necessary to face several captains, several of whom are far superior to the vice-captains, and whose strength is not inferior to the general weaker death gods who have just reached the level of captains. The old man Yamamoto glanced at the disappearing Xuanjiman with complicated eyes, and the decision that had been firm in his heart was a little shaken. With his experience and his understanding of Lu Chengkong and others, it is impossible to do such a thing, but it is impossible for Room 46 to target so many people at one time, and so many of them are captains and vice-captains. There is ample evidence. You must know that this group of captains and vice-captains are basically cultivated by old man Yamamoto. In his heart, in addition to being a symbol of power and the success of his own faction, they are more like his own disciples. In his heart, he is also a disciple of the same level as Zengi Kenpachi, but it can also be seen that old man Yamamoto has a touch of humanity more than other politicians. It seems that old man Yamamoto is beginning to doubt, and yes, after all, he is an astonishing god of death with rich experience. How could he be so easily deceived? Jinghua Shuiyu's power cannot be used against him, it seems, otherwise, it is possible that this old man will take the initiative to detect it. Quote, after this battle, Aizen has a clearer understanding of the gap between him and the old man Lu Chengkong. Let alone the magic knife, even if it is Bingren Bingxin, Aizen does not dare to say that he can continue. At the beginning, he was still facing Bingren and Bingxin, and he wanted to escape. Let's go, we want them all. From today onwards, they are the traitors of the Soul Society, and they are no longer the gods of death. The old man Yamamoto gave the order in a majestic and undeniable voice. While speaking, his muscles were swollen, tall and mighty. The body began to change back to the serious, quiet old man that he had been at the beginning. Yes. After coming to the present world, Lu Chengkong felt a completely different modern atmosphere from the soul world. Apart from that, he made a lot of money by his own strength, and then bought a large amount of money in this densely populated empty town in the present world. The land was bought permanently, and all the officials in Kusa town who disagreed were dealt with by Lu Chengkong. At the same time, a large number of professional personnel such as construction personnel and engineers are employed to build up their own residence as quickly as possible, working day and night. Of course, he has the most money. That's it. Other death god traders are like mice crossing the street, very low-key, but Lu Chengkong seems to be afraid that others will not know of his existence. It is said that they are traitors, which means that the Soul Society has abandoned them and does not trust them. Although he loves the soul world, he is not the kind of person who uses his hot face to stick to other people's cold ass, so after some thought, he also imitated Lu Chengkong to go to the bank or the government to borrow some money. He also bought a piece of land and directly covered the respective residences of the Masked Corps. It is worth mentioning that the title of Masked Legion is now officially on the stage. Although many people in the current Masked Legion have not been blurred, only 3 are blurred, but they have a very good relationship. Now they are sympathetic to each other, so regardless of whether they were turned into masks or not, they still established a mask army. But the current mask army also has one more person than the original, and that is Kuimu Shanghai. I said Xiao Kongkong, it looks like you are planning to go somewhere. This day, Hiriko Meiko and Yahomaru Lisa who brought Eyes Naneo came to the house that Lu Chengkong had just built. Saying it was a home, it is better to say that it is a small palace. The decoration is gorgeous but at the same time it is ancient and full of art. Obviously, it took a lot of money and manpower and material resources to find a variety of professionals to make it, and under Lu Chengkong's high-pressure methods, there are no Earth's tofu dregs projects. Yeah, I'm going to take a walk around the virtual circle and see what's going on there. Lu Chengkong didn't hide it either. It was rare to come to this world, the virtual circle, the present world, and the soul world. Read all the circles once, otherwise I would be too sorry for my crossing. The virtual circle. You are really bold enough. You are a traitor and you are very high profile. Now you are still slipping into the virtual circle, ah. Hiriko Meiko said with a thumbs up. It's nothing, just look at the life of the virtual circle. I am a little inspired by seeing their virtual world in Hyo. Maybe a trip to the virtual circle will get the information I want. Lu Chengkong said. Then who are you going to take this time? Hiroko Mako asked curiously. After passing through Yamamoto, Riza Yahomaru and Lu Chengkong, who was originally a big villain in Aiz Nanao's heart, became a supervillain. A handsome and attractive man, and the two women were also full of curiosity at this time. Yaiki and Ranju may have watched the battle between me and Yamamoto, and they were stimulated. Now they are practicing every day and every night. If Ranju is so diligent, I feel normal. She is childish, but she has always been persistent in her cultivation and has never been lazy, but Yi is so diligent, which is really rare. Quote. Lu Chengkong said with a bit of a joke, it seems that Yi was really hit by him. He didn't think that Shunpo alone could solve everything with absolute speed, as in the original book. Moreover, although she now has the title of Shun Chen, but in the after watching the battle between Lu Chengkong and Yamamoto, she was really too arrogant before. It's not that there are no people who are faster than her, it's just that those people don't come out to fight with her. You think that everyone is like you, you're a big pervert, but you actually made old man Yamamoto vomit blood. Hiroko Mako said in a sour tone, typically envy and jealousy. Haha, you don't even look at who I am. Lu Chengkong became extremely cheeky, without the slightest humility. He admitted it directly and made Hiroko Mako look down on his face. It was too shameless. 429 dedication every night. In the evening, Lu Chengkong originally planned to leave at night, but he hadn't walked out of the door when a dark shadow suddenly flashed past and plunged into his arms like lightning and flint. Yaiki, a beautiful woman with a fiery breath. Are you planning to leave at night? I know you are such a man. Say you are ruthless, you don't show your true feelings to anyone, and only when Bachinliu is around can you show your truest side, but I don't care, I believe that one day I will be able to pry open your rigid shell. Saifeng Yuan Yi was talking, while twisting her hot body in Lu Chengkong's arms. As a white beater and the ruler of Xinjiang, her body is tall and her healthy wheat-colored skin makes people feel looking at it. I feel very energetic, and as the death god of Shida and Shunpo, her skin has amazing elasticity but is very delicate and smooth. As her fiery body kept twisting, her water snake-like waist swayed in an astonishing arc, and Lu Chengkong quickly picked up his lust without suppressing and controlling it. Stab. Two sounds of shredding clothes came out in the quiet room, but it was very clear, and the two bodies that were covered with no trace of obstruction were already entangled with each other. I want to be your woman. I know that a man like you can't be controlled by a woman, and I don't want to be such a woman, but I definitely want to be a woman who can't let me go, so that you can show me your truest feelings for the woman who loves me. Quote. Yi suddenly got up from Lu Chengkong's arms. A pair of deep but wild but gripping eyes looked straight into Lu Chengkong's eyes without the slightest timidity or shyness, completely ignoring that his proud jade body was exposed to his lover. In front of her, she straightened the jade body she was proud of, making her curves more obvious. She was very satisfied with her figure and appearance. Roar. Lu Chengkong let out a low roar. He didn't say too many words, but responded directly to Saifeng Yuan Yi with his actions. At this time, too many words were redundant. At this time, silence is better than sound. Ah! A painful cry, accompanied by a trace of poignant blood falling on the white sheets, forming two dazzling plum blossoms. The two fiery bodies have been tightly entangled together, as if to integrate into each other. Inside the body, it's like never being separated again. This night, Lu Chengkong and Saifeng Yuan Yi let go of all morals, restraint, and the shackles in their hearts, and threw themselves into the most primitive human-making movement. Two dark clouds covered him. The next day, when Lu Chengkong opened his eyes, he found that the bed was a mess, and the air was filled with the fascinated smell left over from the time of love, and the night in his arms was like an octopus wrapped around him. On his body, he seemed to be afraid that once he let go, he would disappear. The tears left on her face made Yi look less masculine and more feminine. Her brows also spread out quietly, and her whole body naturally exuded a mature temperament of a first-time woman. For the night, it looks even more charming. Empty Chan. Lu Chengkong found that his movement might really wake up Yi. He didn't like the parting scene, so he wanted to leave quietly, but in desperation he could only use the advanced Shunbu Kong-chan, because he didn't have clothes on. So what? I didn't stay, but I walked out without waking up Yi Yi, which means I achieved my expected goal. I'm leaving, wait for me to come back. Lu Chengkong gently kissed Yi Yi's forehead softly, which contained many meanings, whether it was or not, love, and distress. Originally, he just wanted to stay in front of him. 3 words, but I thought of Yi Yi's unrequited efforts over the years and the unshakable eyes of last night. Chengkong added 4 words involuntarily. I wonder if Yi Yi heard Lu Chengkong's words and got what he wanted, or maybe he had a good dream. I am in a good mood. Fool, I will definitely wait for you, whether it's 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years. After Lu Chengkong left, Yi Yi suddenly opened his eyes filled with lethargy. The intoxicated tenderness and love muttered to himself. Xiaokong, are you leaving? Lu Chengkong just took a shower and put on a different outfit. Of course, Khalifa and Hancock made a suit for him. In order to keep this outfit from breaking, Lu Chengkong it won't become stale, but the clothes and shoes are tempered with spiritual power every day. It can be said that this outfit and shoes can't be beaten even with blocking bullets, and it may be the reason why they are tempered with spiritual power every day. This suit exudes a very comfortable atmosphere. Mainly, even in the world constructed by spiritual power, the most comfortable breath is of course the breath of spiritual power. Yeah, let's go play in the virtual circle today. Lu Chengkong caught Bachenliu who was flying towards him and put it on his shoulder. Looking at the height of Bachenliu at this time, it is at least half shorter than that of the original book. The growth rate of Bachenliu is really slow enough. Knowing that the spiritual power needed is not enough or that Bachenliu doesn't like getting bigger. Okay, let's go, Bachenliu said happily and with high fighting spirit, not caring at all. For the god of death, the virtual circle is a very dangerous place. For her, as long as Lu Chengkong is with her, she can go to any mountain of swords and seas of fire or even walk. Hell is heaven to her. Are you gone? In the basement, he got up early to practice kendo, shunbu, ghost dao, as well as white fights and accumulated spiritual pressure. Luan Ju, who had tempered the spiritual pressure, suddenly opened his closed eyes, with a flash of reluctance and determination. However, it seems very contradictory. Obviously, on the one hand, she really wanted to go, but on the other hand, after seeing the strength of old man Yamamoto, she found that she was not as strong as she thought, and she didn't want to be a burden. A woman who can accompany Lu Chengkong at any time, no matter what the scene is obviously the one who was determined to conquer and made Lu Chengkong bow down under the pomegranate skirt. Instead of being a burdened and useless vase for her husband, she resisted the thought of wanting to go with her and remained very silent and did not speak, but the desire in her heart was the highest. 430 Ranju's Zanpakudo. I know what you really want to go, why don't you follow? Maybe your strength can be improved even more in the virtual circle. Suddenly, beside Luanju, there appeared a Li Ying whose figure was only below that of Luanju. Take a look at the cat girl with short crimson hair, emerald eyes, a pair of crimson cat ears and a pink cat tail, wearing a pink singlet and pumpkin pants. Yes, this cat girl is the original the gray cat, but now it is a complete shikai without being deprived of spiritual power, and the name of the Zanpakudo of Ranju who has completed Benkai's mastery of Benkai for a long time is not called a gray cat, but a cat demon. It's just that the relationship between Luanju and the cat demon seems to be very good now. They are really close as sisters. Is it useful to follow me now? It's just in the way, there's no way to help her, and now it's a critical moment, you can't walk away, as long as everything is broken. But at stake she is a calm and vigorous woman. Women's feelings are really complicated, and their psychology is even more complicated. If you want to follow, just follow. Why do you think so much? Really, but this guy is just as complicated and mysterious as you. No wonder you can make the original to make the other party bow down to the blonde cow and chrysanthemum in your pomegranate skirt. It becomes that you bow down to the giant dragon of others. The cat demon, that is. The gray cat in the original book is the same as the original book except that its power has become bigger and the name is different. Blinking at the Chaos Jew, said very naughty, and at the same time, a tic-tac-toe guard appeared directly on the forehead of the Chaos Jew. Development simply disappeared. Forget it. First complete the breakthrough transformation first, and I will find you to settle the account later. Luan Ju took a deep breath, and with the huge ups and downs of the inhalation and exhalation chest apparatus, waves of milk rippled in circles. Fortunately at this time Lu Chongkong had already left, otherwise he would have killed the Chaos Chrysanthemum before leaving. Urahara Kazuki, have I finished what I asked you to prepare? Lu Chengkong came to Urahara Kazuki's shop, which was still very dilapidated like the original, and shouted loudly. At the same time, he was very speechless to this guy. It's not that I can't live in such a place. It's really frustrating to do these small businesses without looking at the store. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I didn't expect you to come so soon. Real rare customer, this is what you want. A portable version of the portal that can be shuttled back at any time. Really, this thing is very expensive, how can you not give it? Where's the money? Urahara Kazuki said with a resentful expression, it's a pity that this trick may be effective for others. For Lu Chengkong, such a big man's expression is really disgusting. I'll give you the money, but you don't want it either. Lu Chengkong took out a bundle of banknotes from nowhere. Kazuki Urahara's eyes lit up, but Kazuki Urahara was reluctant to reach out to take it, because Urahara Kazuki very shrewdly saw that behind the bundle of banknotes was a life-threatening snowdrink mad knife. Okay, don't pretend, I hope your wisdom and chungfu can always be used in the right place. To me, don't pretend to be yourself. Excessive disguise will make you hypocritical. No matter what, we are still on the same line. This time I'm going to the virtual circle and you need something from me. As expected of Lu Chengkong, he is still so direct and quick to talk, then I will not be hypocritical. I hope you can bring me back a broken face when conditions permit. Yes, the god of death is a virtual form, that is, it's called a mask. Relatively speaking, the death of the virtual is a broken face. I want to study what is the difference between them and the death. Urahara Kazuki also put away the smile on his face. Obviously, he also understood Lu Chengkong's personality, and he prefers quick talk and don't go around in circles. Okay, finally you can study the reverse film. I think Aizen will go to the virtual circle in the end. You should know that there are no extra rules in the virtual circle, and the temptation of the virtual death is not enough to resist. Lu Chengkong nodded with satisfaction. Urahara Kazuki was not very annoying, at least he was different from Aizen, he could always keep his mentality and know what to do and what not to do. As for who knows how to deal with it, of course, that is the complete opposite of his peaceful son. His giggling and giggling that is not real at all makes Lu Chengkong very unhappy, too hypocritical. What a strange man, such a straightforward and forthright person, who has such unfathomable wisdom, who can fully understand Aizen and me, and play with applause. What kind of person is he? Urahara Kazuki looked at Lu Chengkong, who had entered the blur through the boundary gate, his eyes flickering, just like the eyes he only showed every time he encountered very difficult and unsolvable research. Urahara-sama, I have something to say, I don't know if I should say it. Huling Tetsusai, who had changed into a worldly costume, suddenly appeared beside Urahara Kazuki. Let's talk, Tizai, we don't need so many scruples. Urahara Kazuki may have been influenced by Lu Chengkong, and it is rare to go directly to the theme. He's different from us, as if he doesn't belong to this world. Everything doesn't seem so different. You say he's bold, straightforward, and carefree, but he has an unfathomable depth. Even Aizen and Urahara-sama know everything about you. A very affectionate wisdom. It is said that he is shrewd and scheming, but he usually looks very natural in his words and deeds, just like when he was talking to you just now. I observed it in secret for a long time, and every word and deed of his seemed very natural, like from the heart. He never hides his emotions, he likes it if he likes it, and doesn't like it if he doesn't like it. Even if such a person ends up being a genius, he will only go all the way to Tianyuinkai, but he is still alive and well and even constantly affects the people around him. For example, Hui Mushanghe has been continuously improved under his influence. From the beginning, he couldn't stand the temptation of power. It is reasonable to say that Hui Mushanghe will eventually fall, but now it has become a wisdom that is no less than Aizen and Aizen. Urahara-sama, your person, I think he is really contradictory and dangerous, but he is very easy to get along with, and has a charm that makes people involuntarily put down all scruples and take the initiative to talk to him. It was very rare for Huling Tetsuai to say so much at one time, but his words made Urahara Kazuki frown even tighter. Obviously, he was also puzzled. Forget it, don't think about it. He said it well. At least we are currently on the same front. As for what to do in the future, let's think about it later. There are many things and people in this world that cannot be controlled. Urahara in the end, Kazuki could only secretly say a word in his heart, and he returned to his giggling and unserious appearance. 431 Take Grimyord as a mount. Is this the virtual circle? It is indeed an endless desolation. It exudes a much more direct war than the corpse and soul world. It is full of killings, blood and battles. A black hole suddenly appeared somewhere in the virtual circle. Lu Chengkong and Ba Qinliu, who sat on his shoulders with a curious look left and right, passed through the black hole and came to the virtual circle, looking at the desolate place under his feet. The desert felt the completely different environment of the virtual circle and the soul world and said softly, "It's so boring here, there's nothing to do here." Ba Qinliu muttered unwillingly, holding his chubby and cute fingers. "Okay, it's going to be fun soon, let's go and see the unique building in the virtual circle." Lu Chengkong pinched a virtual shot from the sand to attack him at any time, and walked in a random direction. All the virtual people who attacked him on the road were crushed to death by Lu Chengkong without exception. And Lu Chengkong is also very unhappy. He has never encountered a wise and powerful Shu. He knows that every wise Shu has an instinct in his heart, and he knows the instinct of the location of Zai Palace. What he needs is such a Shu come and lead the way. Finally, there is a decent dummy. The dummy circle is really poor. What are the top 10 recognitions are just selected from a random part of the dummy circle. The dummy circle can be in such a sloppy form and law-abiding. It can be seen that the virtual circle is definitely far better than the corpse and soul world from the background alone. The virtual circle is so big that it definitely hides many powerful virtuals that are indisputable or disdain to stand up. Even Aizen does not dare to detect some powerful virtuals. In the Warsterd, he chose 10 swords for himself. With Aizen's arrogant personality, he didn't dare to despise the virtual circle. It can be seen that the virtual circle is definitely a place where a crouching tiger hides a dragon. This dummy should be a Chuka's. Hey, I found out that I didn't retreat but rushed towards me. It's rebellious, or you are stupid and didn't notice the difference between the two sides. It's interesting. Lu Chengkong smiled and muttered. Stood there slowly and waited for the Achukas in the perception range to rush over. About a minute or so, an indistinct figure appeared in Lu Chengkong's line of sight, and soon the true face of this phantom was revealed. The agile leopard-shaped big virtual. It's actually him. If it's not repeated or similar, it's the 60th blade with a perverse personality, super self-esteem, handsome, cool, wild, muscular, stylish, backbone, and manly. At this time, Lu Chengkong can be said to be profoundly aware of what it means to step through the iron shoes and find nowhere to find it without effort. Death. The leopard-shaped Daxu came not far from Lu Chengkong. His whole body was tense, his eyes were full of murderous intent and vigilance, and he looked at Lu Chengkong, dissatisfied with his sharp teeth, and his mouth was actually speaking. Know that you dare to come. Should I say that you are mentally retarded or that you are not afraid of tigers when you are a newborn calf? Lu Chengkong looked at the leopard-shaped big void in front of him as if he was looking at an item. Hey, I, Grimjiao, have never been afraid of anyone. No matter if it's the god of death or the phantom, whoever I like will be killed and swallowed, or I will be killed, and you are no exception. That's right, he is Grimjiao, it's just that he hasn't been transformed into a faceless face at this time, because he is not Vashted, so without a faceless face, it is impossible to maintain a human form like Nellie L. Of course, there are also some exceptions. As long as you break through Kyrian and become a Chukas, you can maintain a human form. This kind of void is called a humanoid. There is no difference between the virtual and other great virtuals, but the body shape is different. Sure enough, he is arrogant, flamboyant, and impulsive, but in a place like the virtual circle, there is only such a character who is not afraid of death and eager to fight. Lu Chengkong sighed inwardly. As expected, there are many similarities between this place and the original book. The only difference is that this is the real world. Roar. When Grimjiao saw that Lu Chengkong was actually in front of him, he was still distracted thinking, and felt that his self-esteem had been insulted, and immediately roared angrily. Don't make a noise when the adults are thinking about things. Lu Chengkong casually patted behind him, and directly scared the fierce Grimjiao to the ground, still maintaining the look of thinking just now. Impossible. Grimjiao turned over and stood up again. He stared at Lu Chengkong with wide eyes. Obviously, he had never met someone stronger than himself, and even if he did, it was only a little bit stronger. Void or death god, his vision and cognition are still relatively narrow. He doesn't know how big this is, but Lu Chengkong realizes the deep meaning of Mao Zhawali's words, how big the world is with the big heart. I really want to go to Zai Palace. Every wise Achukas has an instinct to know the location of Zai Palace. I don't think it's too close to go to Zai Palace. I changed my mind when I saw you. What is needed is not only a leader, but also a mount, and now you are very suitable. Quote. Lu Chengkong deliberately stimulated Grimjiao, but in his heart he was very satisfied with the decision to take Grimjiao, who was still a leopard, as his mount. What did you say? How dare you take the mighty Lord Grimjiao as a mount to become a king, and you must die. Grimjiao, who was still hesitating and didn't know what to do, was immediately apprehended. Anger filled his entire head, his mouth was wide open, and a red phantom flashed directly. Don't take out this kind of kids stuff. I don't care who you are, as long as I decide what Lu Chengkong does, there is nothing I can't do. It's the dragon for you to coil for me, and the tiger for me to lie down. Lu Chengkong stretched out his hand a little and directly broke the red dots, completely ignoring Grimjiao's very contradictory eyes. Obviously, Lu Chengkong's powerful strength completely subverted Grimjiao's cognition. He is not afraid of death, he is good fighting, but it doesn't mean that he is a fool. Seeing that his original work can bend and stretch in front of Aizen, you know that he is not stupid, but he is sometimes impulsive. Looking at your appearance, you are still very unconvinced. Right, but that's right, the virtual circle is a world where the strong are respected. And it's still the strong who are naked and have no cover-up. I think I should completely subdue you. After Lu Chengkong finished speaking, his eyes narrowed, and the indifferent expression just now was immediately put away, and the icy spiritual pressure was directly pressed on Grimjiao's body like a heavenly might. 432 Subduing Grimjiao. The powerful Reiatsu not only made Grimjiao go cold, but also contained enormous pressure, which directly crushed Grimjiao's body and lay on the ground unable to move. How are you convinced? Lu Chengkong looked at Grimjiao's stubborn, proud and unyielding eyes, and the desire to subdue him was even stronger. Of course, he only fell in love with Grimjiao, who is still a leopard. If it is a humanoid he didn't bother to waste so much energy. After all, it was quite awe-inspiring to have such a handsome leopard mount that would become a king. I don't give in. How could Grimjiao give in so easily? Even Aizen in the original book never thought about taking him as a mount, and even Aizen couldn't make Grimjiao give in completely. It's just that he succumbed to Aizen's strength far superior to himself. As long as any of the great voids in the void circle reach Achukas, it will be difficult to yield. It is difficult to ask them to yield willingly. Killing them is much easier, but the benefits are not without them. Daxu who truly surrenders will never betray forever. Are you still unconvinced? By the way, you are not afraid of heaven and earth. Let's make a bet. If I can make you afraid of me without attacking you, then you will consider me as how about the Lord? On the other hand, if I can't make you fear me, then I will not only make you disfigured, but also let you go. When one day you think you have enough strength to seek revenge from me, I will kill you. Lu Chengkong knew that dealing with Grimzhao's strong self-esteem and eccentric personality alone would not be able to make him completely surrender. It looks like a win-win was built just for him. Haha, God of Death, I admit that your strength is very strong. For me now, it is no less than the existence of a true God, but you are right. I, Grimzhao, are not afraid of heaven and earth, and I will never be afraid of anyone. If you can make me fear you, what if I become your mount? Sure enough, Grimzhao did not disappoint Lu Chengkong, and things developed according to Lu Chengkong's conjecture. Okay, I hope you do what you say. Lu Chengkong nodded with satisfaction, seeing Grimzhao's eyes instantly changed. Shuang did not have the slightest emotion, and from time to time scarlet magic eyes filled with a layer of light golden light that kept moving appeared instantly. That's right, after the last Bankai, Lu Chengkong realized that in order to completely master the magic knife and not be attacked, he must have a heart similar to Bingxin, just like mastering the snow drink mad knife. After that, Lu Chengkong finally explored a magic heart initially, specially to control the magic heart of the magic knife. Although it is still impossible to keep it as permanent as Bingxin, it will not last for a short period of time, and with the continuous comprehension and deepening of the devil's heart, the duration of the devil's heart will become longer and longer. The same Lu Chengkong uses the longer the magic knife lasts, as long as the magic heart is still there. When Lu Chengkong uses the magic knife in Bankai, his mind will not be affected by the magic energy and magical nature of the magic knife. The most important thing is that Lu Chengkong can open the magic heart, so that he can use the magic eye to see the strength and weakness of the enemy without Bankai. What kind of eyes are these? How can there be no emotion, no fear, no greed, no selfishness? God, there is nothing, this is impossible, how can such a look appear? And it actually gives I have a feeling that everything about me is exposed under these eyes. And this feeling is getting stronger and stronger. My heart is beating faster and faster. This is the first time that this situation has occurred. What does it feel like? Fear, my body is trembling. How could it be that just looking at me makes me terrified? This cannot exist. Grimzhao screamed frantically in his heart, while controlling his body, trying his best to restore his body to what it was when he first came. Unfortunately, the more he tried to control, the more his body trembled. In the end, he seemed to have completely lost control of his body, and prostrate directly in front of Lu Chengkong. It's just that Grimzhao knew how terrifying Lu Chengkong's demon eyes were. With such a huge gap in strength between Lu Chengkong and Old Man Yamamoto, he could use these demon eyes to see through Old Man Yamamoto's strength and weakness, even making Old Man Yamamoto unable to do so. Control gives birth to a feeling of being completely seen through. Even Old Man Yamamoto was like this, let alone Grimzhao, whose strength was far inferior to Lu Chengkong. Not everyone could remain calm under the gaze of the devil. Even Old Man Yamamoto was much stronger than Lu Chengkong. The strength and the accumulation of more than 2,000 years of existence, the will is very firm and the soul is very strong in order to maintain their normal mentality. How is it? Lu Chengkong saw Grimzhao, who never knew what fear was. At this time, his eyes were full of fear that was visible to the naked eye. He felt very fulfilled. Aizen, I can do things you can't do. Easy to do, haha. Ha, ha. Grimzhao saw Lu Chengkong put away his magic eyes, and gradually began to feel that he was finally able to control his body, but he no longer had the strength to answer Lu Chengkong. He was very embarrassed and had no image. Lying on the desert, gasping for breath. I'm Grimzhao's words, I admit that you are qualified to be my king and will never betray. After a while, Grimzhao seemed to regain some strength, stood up, and the fear in his eyes disappeared. Said eloquently. Okay, don't worry, although you are nominally my mount now, this idea is just a whim. If you become a humanoid when you break the painting or reach the level of Vastord, you will no longer be my mount. But my subordinate, comrade in arms. Although Lu Chengkong is not a politician, and he has never been an emperor or an official, he is also well aware of Hu Luoba's approach of adding a big stick and emphasizing both favor and power. Sure enough, Grimzhao looked at Lu Chengkong from fear at the beginning. What he feared was not death, but the devil's eye turned into awe. As for emotional trust and worship, it took time to build up. Of course, it also depends on Lu Chengkong. What Chengkong usually does, after all, as a boss, every action, every move, silently affects his subordinates. Let's go, take me to Zai Palace. By the way, I forgot to introduce you. She is my sister, Kaolu Bachenliu. Don't underestimate her. If you make her unhappy, you won't be able to eat and walk around. Even I can't help you. Lu Chengkong sat on the back of Grimjiao, who was still a leopard, and pointed at Bachenliu, who was staring at Grimjiao with curious, playful eyes on his shoulders. 433 Rescue Nellie L. Xiao Gerger, I'll call you like this, hurry up. Bachenliu sat on Lu Chengkong's lap, holding the toy-like Soul Slayer in his hand and banging on Grimjiao, cheering. Grimjiao is not an idiot. Of course it is not easy to completely ignore himself and even say that he was a Bachenliu of the air before, and what really convinced Grimjiao to Bachenliu was that he was horrified to find that every time no matter what. No matter how you dodge, you will be hit by the soul-killing sword of Yachenliu that seems to be playing at random. Although he didn't have the slightest strength, and his speed seemed very slow, he couldn't dodge. This was what really shocked Grimjiao. I didn't expect such a little girl to be an unfathomable and powerful god of death. With this idea, Grimjiao was even more in awe and admiration for Lu Chengkong. Of course, he also admires Bachenliu very much, and accepts this boss's sister from the bottom of his heart. Although he is not sitting on Lu Chengkong's lap, he is sitting on his own to a certain extent. The dissatisfaction has now vanished. Grimjiao has always pursued realism. People who respect me 1 foot and I respect you 10 feet have always talked less and done more. When he just became a subordinate, of course, he must show it in front of his boss and the people who are very important to him. Moreover, he was very much looking forward to Lu Chengkong's virtual death transformation, and even more, he mustered up his strength to fly towards the Zai Palace like a blue light. Chuyi Palace, a lake green hair color, golden green eyes, a rose-red sunburn makeup mark on the face, a number 3 on the back, the mask on the top of the head, the skull of an antelope, with a little fragment that is almost close to the god of death, or the human woman's eyes widened. The color of anger flashed by looking at the collar in front of him. The collar is in the shape of a circular shine, also known as disc head broken face. He holds a crescent moon blade with a chain at the hilt attached to his waist, is tall, wears a single eye patch, and has black mid-length hair parted. Despite his slender figure, he actually possesses a lot of strength and mocks a cold, smiling man. Don't you need a reason to fight? In that case, I'll give you one. This person is the 50th Blade Nutra of the current Void Knight Palace, and this woman is the 30th Blade Nellie Alu. Because Nutra would forcibly take off the masks of her 2 officials, Nellie Alu was very angry. That's not a reason to fight. Although Nellie L was very angry, her voice was still the same, but this time she was really angry, and the soul-chopping blade in her hand was unsheathed with a swipe. Don't look at her as a woman, but as a virtual body. Her strength and power are much better than those of death. And Nellie L is even more powerful than Nutra, who is good at strength and steel skin, the 50th blade in front of him, and completely suppressed him in a few moments. Fortunately, Nellie L did not kill him at this time. I mean, otherwise, Nutra would be seriously injured if he didn't die. This is obviously a naked strength gap. It's a pity that the kindness to the enemy during battle is the cruelty to himself. Damn! A trace of anger and resentment flashed in Nutra's eyes. He didn't expect that he was still so far from the woman in front of him, so he was not satisfied with a vicious thought in his heart and immediately turned away, while resisting Nellie L's aggressive but lacking killing intent, at the same time, secretly walked to a certain place. Drink! Nellie Alu kicked Nutra out with one kick. At the same time, a ringing speed was much faster than Shunpo, the god of death, and appeared directly in front of Nutra, slashing and sweeping. Completely beat Nutra to the point of being unable to fight back, only instinctive defense. Ha! Suddenly, a conspiratorial smile appeared on the corner of Nutra's mouth, and a not-so-fast sound disappeared in an instant. In Nellie's eyes, the speed was no different from a turtle's movement. It's too slow, Nellie L said coldly, but at this moment Nellie L only felt her eyes lost for a while and lost control of her body, and Nutra, who had used the ring to leave, returned again. Back in place. The body seems to be illusory, and there is no mercy or embarrassment because of his own conspiracy. The double-edged crescent-shaped sickle in his hand slashes at Nellie L's forehead. As long as there's a mask, even if it's Vastored. Once the mask is damaged, not only will the spiritual power dissipate, the strength will be greatly reduced, and even the memory may be lost, and even if the memory is restored in the future and the mask is repaired, the strength will be greatly weakened, at least one level, and Vastards will be the weakened Achukas. Such a vicious method shows the viciousness of Nutra's heart. Clang. Instead of the crisp and pleasant sound of smashing the mask, there was a sound of metal collision, and Nutra, who had a smug smile, suddenly solidified, because there was one in front of Nellie Alu, which was not the most annoying to know. Tara was surprised. What surprised him the most was that the man in front of him, dressed in a peculiar costume, who looked like a god of death, actually used a finger to hold his double crescent sickle. He knew that even the same level of Shu would not dare to use his own body to resist Nuo. Itra's weapon, and the gods of death are known for being weaker than the flesh. How could it not be that Nutra was surprised and surprised? Let me tell you, you, a kind and stupid woman, should talk about this phantom in front of you, that kindness to the enemy is cruelty to yourself. If you had killed this ill-intentioned person early in the morning, your official would not have ended up like this, so the one who killed your official was not him, but yourself, who obviously had the power to defend yourself, but it would have ended up like this in the end. It is self-inflicted and cannot live. The person who came was Lu Chengkong. He had just arrived and saw such a classic scene. Although he disdains Nellie's kindness and stupidity, he still admires and likes her. In a world like the virtual circle, it would actually appear. It's a miracle that she is kinder than Hannibal, and this kind of emptiness can actually grow to Vastode. I have to say that her aptitude is extremely high, otherwise, with such a kind character of hers, she will definitely not devour the virtual, but she can still grow up to Vastode. Can it make people not admire? It's me, I'm the one who killed them. Yes, it's all my fault. After all, Nellie L is the 30th blade, and it's the genuine Vastord, Apollo's new device. It can only make Nellie Alu lose her mind for a moment. He recovered in a few seconds, saw this strange man save him, listened to the words in his ear, and recalled the past, only to realize that what this man said was right. The person who harmed his official was not someone else, it was herself. 434 Nellie L's terrifying. I'll solve my own problems myself, I just want to see you pleasing to the eye and save you. Lu Chengkong patted it gently, and a soft force sent Nellie Alu out, and the spiritual pressure burst out suddenly, directly killing the sneaky samurai. The new device set up by Apollo was destroyed, and he hated this kind of person the most. You take me to the place where the 10 blades of Zai Palace gather, otherwise you will have no value in existence. Lu Chengkong was not polite at all. He could only use his fists to beat them and show a strong side. Only then could they be obediently listening to their faces, just like the resentful Tsar Apollo, who could only obey Lu Chengkong's words obediently. After you've done what you're going to do, come and find me at the place where the 10 blades of Zai Palace gather. Although Lu Chengkong's words to Nellie Lu were not too serious, and even thought it very casually, there was an air of sympathy. Undoubtedly, the irresistible taste is here. After speaking, I ignored Nellie and Nutra, and rode directly to Achuka's. Not long ago, I had never been in contact with Reaper at all, and even Grimjow, who was even a pseudo-Reaper, followed Sal Apollo. Left. It is worth mentioning that there is still a gap in strength between the same Achukas. In addition to the accumulation of spiritual power, the more important thing is whether this Achukas has evolved into a god of death. Pseudo-shattering, take Nutra in front of him as an example. He is just Achukas, but his strength is definitely much stronger than Grimjow, who is also Achukas now, because he is already a member of the 10 Blades. Certainly better than Grimjow, who had just stepped into Achukas and didn't have a false death. After all, Grimjow is only an early Achukas now, while Nutra is the pinnacle of Achukas. Although no matter how many Nile he devoured in this life, he may never have a chance to step into Vastord, but only the gap between the peak of Achukas and the early days of Achukas is like a gulf, not to mention the power of a pseudo-death deification. Is it not possible to do my own sins? This sentence is really apt to describe the previous me. Kindness is my nature, but excessive kindness becomes stupid, and this kindness is even more of a charity to the enemy. Insult, will this only bring disaster to myself? Peshwe, Donchaka, it's my fault. I'm sorry for you. The mistakes I made will be borne by me. Nellie slowly raised her head and picked up the soul-chopping blade on the ground. The golden-green pupils shrank for a while, and a faint murderous aura emanated from it, making Nutra excited and her scalp numb. That's right, he has always longed for Nellie L to seriously fight him with all his strength, but at the same time he understands the gap between himself and Nellie L. Maybe he is a typical scumbag, knowing that Nellie L does not. If you can kill him, you will gain an inch. In short, if you give him 3 points, you will have to get shy. What's wrong? Have you summoned the courage to kill me now? Are you finally willing to fight me seriously? With the idea of killing me, either you will die or I will die, then come on. After all, Nutra is an out-and-out fighting maniac. In fact, he also has a shadow on Nellie Alu in his heart. If he does not overcome this shadow, his strength will not improve much in his life, otherwise he will not. Will do everything possible to get rid of Nellie, even with a conspiracy. But at the same time, he also knows that if he uses conspiracy and tricks, the psychological shadow will still be there, so he only let Nellie L go in the original book, and also said that the next time he meets, he will reach a point where Nellie L's sword cannot the height he reached. He just wanted to make Nellie Alu's strength not only not advance an inch, but regress. But he is making progress. When the time comes, the winner will be divided on the battlefield. Even if his psychological shadow cannot disappear after beheading Nellie, he will no longer be afraid of Nellie. It can even be said that he does not need to be as before. Using conspiracy and tricks, although this method is more vicious and the effect is not as useful as an upright battle, it is the only feasible method for Nutra. It's a pity that it was destroyed by Lu Chengkong now, and it also allowed Nellie Lu to escape the catastrophe and at the same time have undergone an amazing transformation. Now Nellie Lu is a qualified Vastord, no longer empty. There is a powerful force but it cannot be used to the extreme. Wang Shu's flash. Nellie Lu raised the soul-killing knife in her hand and pointed at Nutra. If she didn't make a move, it was a thunderbolt. Compared with Nellie who regained her memory after the original novel was killed, Ai Lu is even more cruel, but I have to say that this kind of Nellie Ai Lu is the most perfect. Her kindness and kindness are only reserved for her own people, and she is only cruel and cruel to the enemy. The tip of the soul-chopping sword instantly condenses a golden pink sphere with jagged light, and the pink phantom and phantom twinkle used by Nellie L in the original work are obviously more advanced Wang Shu's flash, and the power is amazing. The air in the vicinity of the passage was all twisted without exception, and at the same time, the speed was much faster than that of the other 10 blades and Wang Shu's flash, only under the virtual bullet. And Nellie L's Wang Shu's flash with an unstoppable, and defiant will. Maybe this is because Nellie L is a knight after returning home. Knights charge at an amazing speed, with an indomitable will. Unstoppable, the momentum of the contempt, and the flash of Wang Shu of Nellie Lu has brought this momentum to the extreme. Nutra, who was originally very excited that Nellie L would seriously fight with her, was horrified to find that she was so different from Nellie L, who had shot with all her strength and still did not return to the blade. Wang Shu, the momentum and pressure from the flash of light made him unable to dodge, and he couldn't even move his feet. The speed was fast and the pressure was great. This is the glitter of Nellie L's Wang Shu, isn't it? Isn't this woman kind and stupid? How could she use this kind of power? Is this her real power? Belegan Ruzin opened her eyes for help, and a flash of shock flashed past him. This Vastord, who is ranked below him, is actually so powerful. It seems that she has never shown her because of her kindness. The strength of her, but what happened today? Her temper is very clear to the Belegan Ruzin gang. If it hadn't touched her bottom line, she would have been dismissed by Isho. Nilu, what's the matter with you? A beautiful woman with brown skin, green eyes, blonde hair, a hot body and a high-necked half-covered face suddenly opened her eyes. She was the one in the original book instead Nellie L's Hallible, but she didn't have a number on her at this time, so she was obviously not one of the 10 blades. 435 The Fury of Balagan. This is not to say that her strength is not good, but that she was rescued by Nellie Lu. She has achieved today's achievements, and Nellie Lu's kindness makes her very uneasy, so she has been following beside Nellie L, hide her strength and secretly protect Nellie L. Until Nellie L was attacked, she kept seeing Nutra unhappy and always confronted her. It was only after Nellie L was exposed that she stood up and made the 30th blade. It was when Nellie exposed something. Nutra wanted to cut the weeds and kill Hallible, so Hallible had to reveal his strength. It was at that time that the people in the Void Knight Palace discovered that the woman who had been staying by Nellie's side had such a powerful force, but it's a pity that Hallible originally wanted to kill Nutra to avenge Nellie, but thanks to her. However, Legang stopped her, saying that Nutra was a virtual circle with 10 blades that could not be killed, and at the same time promised her to be the 30th blade. Knowing that he was not the opponent of Balagang at that time, even if he tried his best, he might not be able to take revenge, and he was weak. In despair, he left the Zai Palace directly, and while he became stronger, he searched for Nellie Lu. Was later found by Aizen, and using Bengyu to break the face to become stronger gave her the power of revenge, promised her revenge, and at the same time agreed to Aizen to be the 30th blade. It's a pity that Aizen deceived her in the end, and did not let her take revenge at all, but stopped her like Balagang, but refused to let Hallible find a chance to attack with various reasons, and that at that time, she had no room for refusal, because she had been completely hypnotized by Aizen's Kyoka Suzuki. Even if she is not completely hypnotized, she is simply not strong enough. How can she defeat Aizen who is stronger than Balagang? So she knows that in addition to hiding all the anger and dissatisfaction in her heart, she pretends to be as surrendered as before. There is no way other than that. If Aizen knew that she was dissatisfied, looked for an opportunity to betray, and killed Nutra, Aizen's character that did not allow anyone to provoke Her Majesty would definitely kill Haribel. In order to keep the usefulness of Haribel, who avenged Nellie L, she could only do this all the time. It's a pity that Aizen got through it later, and suddenly slashed her into serious injuries during the World War. So Aizen's reason for attacking Hallible at that time was definitely not that Hallible was not qualified on the surface. The same Haribel, if she was so loyal to Aizen on the surface, would be as loyal as Ulquiorra. She would not attack Aizen angrily, but would be sad, desperate, unable to believe that Aizen would attack herself because she knew that Aizen saw through her and discovered her own thoughts. She was not angry at Aizen's shot, but at her own incompetence. She could not avenge Nellie L from beginning to end, but might be killed in the end, so she angrily used her last strength before falling. Hit the blue die. This Reiatsu is Nutra. Could it be that that guy did something that made Nellie L very angry? Otherwise Nellie L wouldn't be so angry. Haribel's face became very gloomy in an instant. It was not the first time that she persuaded Nellie L to kill this unknowing Nutra, but Nellie L refused without exception. Even she many times I tried to help Nellie L get rid of Nutra, but they were also stopped by Nellie L, and it was finally settled. With this idea in mind, Haribel wanted to turn and rush in the direction of Nellie L. This time, she had decided that no matter how Nellie L stopped her, even if Nellie L didn't like her, she was going to kill Nutra. There are more things that you can't think of. Just when the Balagang Luyisan gang was estimating the strength of Nellie Lu, the voice suddenly sounded in the quiet Void Knight Palace, which seemed very different. The face of Ruzan gang in Balagang changed. What he hated most was being interrupted when he was thinking. You must know that Aizen has not come to Zai Palace yet, and Stark above him has not interested in anything. Therefore, the Zai Palace is under his absolute rule, and now there are people who dare to disturb him. For a while, the Balagang Ruzan gang has murderous intentions for daring to interrupt his life. He is not happy that he is interrupted by others. The biggest reason is that some people dare to despise their own majesty. Of course it's me. Lu Chengkong sat on Grimjiao's body without any intention of coming down, looking at the Belegan Rusengang in front of him with an inscrutable expression. Are you, the god of death? The face of the Rusengang of Balagan sank, and he realized that the person in front of him didn't have the slightest aura, but instead had the breath of the god of death that he hated the most. Surprised, this is the Zai Palace. Although it is not said that it is the most powerful virtual in the virtual circle, there are at least 4 to 5 large virtuals at the Vastord level. Under such circumstances, a god of death can actually come to himself without being hurt by everyone. In front of him, even if he didn't speak, he wouldn't be able to perceive his existence. The Rusengang in Balagang had already given Lu Chengkong an evaluation, and his strength was definitely not simple. As death surprised, I heard that you are the king of the Phantom Circle, but I don't think your strength is very good. The Phantom Circle is so big, it can be said to be a crouching tiger, hidden dragon. It's kind and stupid, but you are arrogant and stupid. Haha, it's no wonder that Stark, who is stronger than you, doesn't go to rob you. You are still so arrogant. It is not stupid, it is a virtual circle. There is no way to become a king except strong strength. There is a virtual existence stronger than you in the virtual Night Palace. You are too embarrassed to say that you are the king. It's justifiable to order others. What, are you not stupid? Lu Chengkong looked at the so-called king of the virtual circle in front of him with disdain. In fact, he was just an arrogant idiot old man. No wonder the original Aizen didn't take him seriously at all, a typical super self-righteous idiot. You, the god of death, dare to speak to this old man like this, you must die. The Belegan Rusengang roared angrily. Obviously, Lu Chengkong's words touched a scar in his heart that he never wanted to admit. Star Kobe is indeed strong. It's a fact, but no one dared to bring it up in front of the Balagang Rusengang, and this death god not only brought it up, but looked at him with disdain and made him very angry. Oh, it's just you, Lu Chengkong said sarcastically, doing it safely, as if the Balagang Rusengang didn't even have the qualifications to face him or stand up. The breath of death. Belegan Rusen waved his hand, and the smoke-like death breath emitting the breath of death rushed towards Lu Chengkong. Grimjiao, who felt the danger, changed his eyes, instinctively. He was about to dodge, but at the same time he was thinking of Lu Chengkong, who had been sitting on his body with an expressionless face. And that look is enough to make him taste what fear is, and his whole body relaxes instantly. It can be said that he acts as a bystander to see how much strength this so-called king in the virtual circle can make his boss and director show. It's boring. Lu Chengkong still didn't pull out the Shuiyan crazy saber. He stretched out a finger filled with ice blue spiritual energy and lightly tapped, and the invisible momentum swept away in all directions like a wave. Chu let all the breath of death that was close to him was blown away. Impossible. Aging is the most powerful force among the 10 forms of death. Anything can decay, how can it be blown away? The face of the Balagang Rusengang changed greatly, and he exclaimed, not to mention that even if Stark, who has always maintained a helpless look, and Stark of Ulkir Axifer sitting on the side, still sit on the side, Ulkir Lassifa also suddenly opened his eyes and looked solemnly at this god of death who dared to approach the Zai Palace alone. Sure enough, there are no 3 or 3. How dare he go to Lengshan? The god of death who dared to come in so swaggeringly is really not easy. This can only show that you are ignorant, arrogant and stupid. Isn't that what I said about you just now? Don't say that you are a god of death. There are a lot of imaginary ones that are only stronger, but it's a pity that you don't think much of your own stupidity. That's it. Lu Chengkong sighed, as if he felt that he had sullied himself again when he attacked the Rusengang in Balagang. 436 Kneeling in Balagang. You bastard, how dare you speak to the emperor like this, rotten. The Skull Emperor. While the Balagang Rusengang was angry, they also knew that they had encountered an extremely powerful opponent, and they dared to hold back. At this time, although it has not yet completed the death of Bengyu. But as the king of the virtual circle in name, the ruler of the virtual Night Palace, how could he not master the pseudo-death god? Terra can also return to the blade. After returning to the blade, he turned into a skull with a crown, black leather and black robe. He had the aura of a king. The already powerful aging power was even stronger, and his own strength had increased a lot compared to before. It's really amazing to actually force the Balagang Ruzan gang to return to the sword. Stark can be said to be the first time to show this kind of spirit. Looking at Lu Changkong, who is calm and relaxed, he knows that this battle will be worshipped. The Legan Ruzan gang was defeated. It should be said that it was defeated from the beginning. The axe of death. The Balagang Ruzan gang pulled the chains and controlled the huge axe to chop at Lu Changkong. It was as frightening as a guillotine. At the same time, it also released an aura of death that was several times stronger than before. He didn't believe that Lu Changkong dared to stand still as before. Hey, red apricots in the snow. Lu Changkong suddenly pulled out the snow-drinking crazy saber with his right hand, and sent it out from an unpredictable angle from the Balagang Ruzan gang. Like a sneak attack, it is clearly standing in front of you, but it can still achieve the goal of sneak attacking you. The ice-blue ice blade suddenly appeared, exuding an icy aura that penetrated the hearts of the people, directly destroying Baylor with the trend of destroying the dead. The axe of death of the Gang Luzan gang was smashed, and at the same time, the breath of death was divided into two parts without any pause, and the remaining power was directly on the body of the Balagang Luzan gang, and his whole body was smashed into the air. When he went out, half of his body was covered with cold frost. You are only worthy of my sword, but I have more fun to deal with you. Lu Changkong did not continue to attack like the others imagined, but took back the Shuiyan Quangdao and looked at Balagang with playful eyes. Roizan gang. Poor baby, another Vane who has tried this kind of taste. Grimjiao immediately understood Lu Changkong's thoughts, closed his eyes and lowered his head a little reluctantly. Magic eye. Lu Changkong's eyes changed, revealing a frightening demon eye, staring directly at the Balagang Ruzan gang, as if he could see through him directly and look directly into his heart. What kind of eyes are these? It's really scary. Stark, who was a bystander, and Ulkir Lasifa, who was looking for the meaning of the heart, were all horrified to find that the fear in their hearts that had not appeared in their hearts for many years. It appeared once. Obviously several of them are not afraid of death, not afraid, not afraid. But seeing Lu Changkong's magic eye, he couldn't help but feel a little panic in his heart. But Ulkiorasifer, Stark's strength was originally Vastord, and he was deified by pseudo-death, and they were not. It was specially watched by Lu Changkong, so it was able to suppress and control the fear in their hearts, but the Balagang Ruzan gang, who was being watched directly, was a little bit uncontrollable, and this trend was getting worse and worse. Hee, the little skull is trembling with fright. Ba Qinliu was giggling, and only she could maintain an innocent smile on any occasion. Damn, don't tremble, I am the Great Skull Emperor, the Supreme Being, how could he be frightened by a pair of eyes? The Ruzan gang of Balagang kept yelling in his heart, but he found that he had gradually lost control over his body. Although his strength far surpassed Grimjiao, Lu Changkong was looking at him seriously at this time, suppressing him. Not just casual glances like Grimjiao's. And it's pretty good that the Balagan Ruzan gang can resist for so long. You must know that the pertinence of the magic eye is very strong. If Ulkiorasifer and Stark have a dull mentality, they do not have much desire for power and the like, and they maintain their original intentions. Would be so unbearable with the Balagang Ruzan gang. Snapped. The main hall of Zai Palace was quiet. Except for Grimjiao and Lu Changkong Bachenliu, who had experienced this kind of taste for a long time, they were not surprised at all. Everyone else's eyes widened. Is this still the arrogant Ruzan gang at Balagan? He actually knelt down to a god of death. What's the matter? Oh my god, what happened to Balagang Ruzan helping him? Halibal and Nelia Lu, who had just come in, saw the scene of Balagan Ruzan helping him kneel, and immediately she couldn't help covering her cherry lips with her jade hand, and she looked even more beautiful and charming in surprise. This god of death really isn't easy. Nelieru looked deeply at Lu Changkong's back, recalling that she had stayed in his arms before and her pretty face had too blushing abruptly. Fortunately, everyone's attention was attracted by the kneeling of Balagang Ruzan at this time, and no one noticed Nellie's strangeness, so Nellie L was also relieved, but she's still like a thief. He glanced around quietly, making sure that he didn't really relax until he didn't look at himself. Haha, the king of the virtual circle, the ruler of the virtual night palace is not going to crawl at the feet of this uncle. Grimjow smiled smugly, although he knew that the Balagan Ruzin gang did not attack him. Kneeling, but the direction that Balagang Ruzin helped to kneel is still facing him, so that he can let a pseudo-death deified Vastord kneel just as he has just stepped into the realm of Achukas. Even Grimjow was proud of such an honor. Isn't the virtual circle saying that surrendering to the strong is not a shameful thing? The gap between you and me is so big that it is not shameful to surrender to me. Or is it that you have been deceiving yourself and comforting yourself that you are the strongest? In order to let you thoroughly feel the strength of the people around you. I'm not afraid to tell you honestly, although you are currently ranked second in the 10 blades, it does not mean that your strength is ranked second. At least there are a few strengths in Zai Palace that are not inferior to you at all. Lu Chengkong knew that in order to fully recapture the arrogant old man of the Ruzin gang in Balagang, he had to fully understand that he was nothing more than a roadside guy and had nothing to show off. Haha, God of Death, I now admit that you are stronger than me, and I am not your opponent, but you think you can insult the Balagan Ruzin gang. Do you think there are people here besides Stark? Don't you lose to me. Who, you say? As if they heard the biggest joke of the century, the Balagang Ruzin gang laughed sarcastically, and even their trembling bodies recovered. It's really stupid to say that you are stupid. You don't know there are so many powerful virtuals around you, and you don't even know when you get a long day and night. Well, in order to make you completely give up all your last flukes, I'll tell you. The strength of the fake face with tears is not as strong as you. Why don't you believe it? Maybe you know, he is unique among your 10 blades, because he is different from you. A normal fake face or a broken face, there is only one return to the blade, but he has two. 437 Starks follow. Ulquior Lassifa's face changed slightly, his pupils shrank as he looked at Lu Chengkong, his heart was overturned. The Shinigami who didn't know the first time they met said it. Really? Balagang Ruzin's face became even more ugly. He knew what Ulquior Lassifa was like, and from his slightly changed face, he could guess that what Lu Chengkong said was right. And the 30th blade Nellie L, don't you believe it? Well, if it was the Nellie L before today, she would definitely not be an opponent. Her stupid kindness made her unable to exert her own strength to the fullest. Extreme, but you didn't notice the changes around her. Her mentality has changed today. After breaking through from Achukas to Vastad, it is useless to simply devour the void. What really makes a breakthrough in strength is the change of mentality and the improvement of realm. Nellie Alu's mentality has changed, her mentality has also been broken through, and the same strength has also been sublimated. Lu Chengkong pointed at Bai Neeli I Lu, but probably because of Lu Chengkong's stupid discussion in front of so many falsehoods, Neeli I Lu's face flushed. Lu Chengkong didn't say anything, but when he said that, a lot of false attention was focused on Neliel. When they came in just now, they felt that something had changed in Neliel. Inexplicable, now that Lu Chengkong's point was broken, they suddenly understood again. Except for Stark, the others looked at Nellie with envious eyes. Obviously, they also knew that breakthroughs in mentality and realm were rare in a century. Way to meet once. Ulquior Lassifa can remain undefeated against you after returning to the sword for the second time. Although he cannot defeat you, if he is of the same strength as you, you will undoubtedly lose if he returns for the second time. Nellie is better than you, so you should change the number of your 10 blades. In the same way, there is another phantom that is stronger than Ulquior Lassifa. At least it can drink Nellie Alu when her mentality has not changed and her realm has not improved. Almost the same. Lu Chengkong turned his head to look at Halibal beside Nellie. This woman is not simple at all. What? Nellie Lu's subordinates have such power. Shuji, who was present, felt that his head was not enough. Today, he found out that the small Shuyi palace is so crouching tiger and hiding dragon. In their opinion, Halibal it's Nellie L's official. Do you still need to hide yourself? The former Nellie Eru made you feel uneasy. Now you should feel relieved. Lu Chengkong glanced at the still expressionless Harabelle and said softly, completely penetrating her inner thoughts. You know a lot. Harabelle was not too surprised that Lu Chengkong could see through his hidden strength. After all, how could someone who could make Belegan Rusin help Neil be unable to see through his hidden strength? Nelialu, what about Nutra? You killed him? Lu Chengkong suddenly asked. No, he forcibly took off the mask of my officials and didn't kill them, so in the same way, I didn't kill him, but just took off his mask. Nellie L stroked the hair that fell from her forehead, and said in an indifferent tone, making many of the virtual shutters in the room, for a fake face, taking off his mask would kill him. It was still painful for him, especially the unscrupulous fighting maniac like Nutra. At this moment, they began to face up to this stupid female pseudo-face with powerful strength and no longer kindness. Can you tell me the purpose of your coming here? Stark, who had not spoken, suddenly stood up and asked. There is no purpose or no purpose, that is, come here to see the strength of the virtual night palace, and at the same time see what is special about the virtual circle, but you guys seems to have made the same mistake as the previous Nelly Lu. If your mentality changes, your strength will be even better, otherwise, do you continue to maintain this? You always seem to be not very interested in external things, you are always merciful when fighting, then you will die one day, and since you are so lonely, why don't you look for your friends, so that you can't no matter how lonely a friend is, create one if you can't find it, and cultivate one if you can't create it. After Lu Chengkong finished speaking, he casually pinched the one that wasn't a 10-blade, but had a strong murderous aura. From time to time, there was a hint of hardness in his eyes, and he turned around and left, without the slightest nostalgia. Obviously Lu Chengkong didn't lie. He really came here to see the Void Circle and Void Night Palace. It's a pity that he didn't see that it didn't appear in the original book, but in reality it was hidden somewhere in the Void Circle beyond Bastards. Without passing through the foreign objects such as Benyu, relying solely on his own perception and efforts, the talent is completely and truly broken. Wait. Stark was stunned when he heard the words. He thought for a while and seemed to understand something, but he still didn't seem to understand, but when he saw Lu Chengkong's figure about to leave, he immediately stopped him. What's wrong? Lu Chengkong just said something casually, remembering what happened to Stark in the original book. He never thought that Stark would listen to him, so he really planned to leave. After all, he has done everything he has to do. He has accomplished a lot of things that he never planned to do, and he has nothing to linger on. In addition, it is not too short of time for him to come out, so it is time to go back. Look at the two women who have been waiting for him. Aren't you afraid of being punished by Saraite by taking an Achukas with you? Stark said. Sarote, haha, do they have the strength to punish me in a place that only knows how to compete for power? By the way, I have good news for you. Sarote defected a lot of captains and vice-captains a few days ago, among them the old man Yamamoto. The commander-in-chief hunted me down himself. But I haven't left me in a hurry. There are people who can keep me in this world, but it's definitely not the strongest death god Captain Yamamoto in the Soul Society. Do you have anything else to ask? Lu Chengkong replied. So that's the case, so you should also be a traitor of the soul world. No wonder the sky is not afraid of the earth. A god of death dares to create a virtual circle and come to the virtual night palace. In that case, do you dare to bring me? A tile? Isn't it a shame to have Stod's fake face with you? Stark suddenly threw out a sentence that shocked everyone. Isn't it? No matter what, Stark is currently the first brother in name of the 10 Blades, and he would leave with a death god. They feel that their heads are a bit insufficient. A god of death and an imaginary one, what kind of combination is this? 438 Halibal, Nilu follow. Give me a reason. After all, Lu Chengkong is not an omniscient and almighty god, nor is he a supreme saint. All saints are ants. It is impossible for him to know everything in one calculation. Guessed from the original book and his own real experience, this time he was really interested in why Stark said such a thing. It's very simple. Maybe I can't find a solution to loneliness in you, or it can make me no longer lonely. This is my intuition. Stark is still a fake face at this time, and has not completely broken face, so Lynette has not been with her yet. The reason why he is so loyal to Aizen is because Aizen used Bengyu to completely break her face. The existence of Lynette allowed him to find sustenance from loneliness. Of course, it was just a sustenance. After all, Lynette was formed by his power. Indeed, Stark's Reiatsu is really powerful and his strength is extraordinary, not to mention the fact that he didn't fight with all his strength until the moment he died in the original book. He always had room for him, and he was very aggressive against the enemy's subordinates. Be merciful, just like the previous Nellie L. Such a lonely person is indeed pitiful, and he is also the type of person who will be the least betrayal. After thinking about it, Lu Chengkong quickly made a decision, and immediately said to Stark, "Don't worry, even if you become stronger, you don't need to suppress your strength. Let go of all the shackles of your mind, a true friend won't care. Your strength is strong or weak. If you want to become a weak person, and only become friends with you, then you don't need such a friend." Quote, "I think I understand what you mean." The brain didn't turn around, and now it was pointed out by Lu Chengkong, and he realized it in a blink of an eye. At the same time, the spiritual pressure that he had been suppressing suddenly surged. Balagang Ruzen Gang. Is this Stark's true strength? Or did he feel the same as Nellie L, and his realm has improved? The Balagan Ruzen Gang looked at Stark in horror, and for a moment felt in their hearts. It can be said to be chaotic. It turns out that every fake face, whether it's Vastador or Achuka's, as long as it's a fake face, there is a reason for their existence or a symbol, and this symbol is also theirs. Strength, character of the mind, symbol. Stark is lonely, Hannibal is a sacrifice, just like before, silently guarding behind Nellie L and sacrificing herself for this is also at the expense of herself. As long as she can help Nellie L, she can even sacrifice herself and Nellie. The feelings between Liel, everything was sacrificed only for Nellie. Nellie Lu is a guardian, like a knight, she would not fight for no reason in the past, and will only silently protect those who she thinks are worth protecting, or it can be said that she died for the sake of protection. In addition to having enough spiritual power, Chukas needs to understand the symbol of his own strength and soul. At the same time, if the symbol of this power is exerted to the extreme, then he will reach Vastord. As for Stark and Nellie Alluri, both of them are already Vastord. To go further, they must change their mentality and improve their original state of mind. The same is to see through the symbol of their own strength and no longer be affected by their own strength. Get out of the shackles of a symbol of power, and take control of your own symbol of power. Just like the current Stark and Nellie L, one no longer fights for loneliness, but controls loneliness. If you want to be lonely, you will be lonely. If you want to be lonely, you will not be lonely. The other is the same at the same time. Guarding is not guarding, and will no longer be constrained by your own power and spiritual symbols, and you will be in complete control of your own power and spiritual symbols. After Lu Chengkong had such an idea, he immediately looked at Nellie and Stark. The three of them looked at Isho. Obviously, the three of them had the same idea. Click. As Nellie L, Stark, Lu Chengkong and others looked at Isho, the masks of Nellie L and Stark dropped at least half, and the remaining half of the masks started to happen. Change, and slowly changed back to the original mask shape. It's just that it has shrunk by at least half compared to the previous mask. The skull mask that Nellie Lu originally wore on her head to cover the top of her head and most of her hair has shrunk by half, revealing most of her hair. It looks more beautiful, and at the same time, the rose-red sunburn makeup logo has also faded a lot. Obviously, the two of them are getting closer and closer to the end of the completely broken face. Don't underestimate such a change. You must know that although the 10 blades of the original book are completely broken, but it is just a forced transformation into a complete death myth with the blessing of Bengyu's external force. People comprehend by their own talents are very far apart, at least two great imaginaries with similar strengths. One is completely broken with the help of Bengyu, and the other is completely deathly transformed by own comprehension. The phantom power that I comprehend is definitely at least 3 times stronger than the phantom that Bengyu helped to forcefully transform. As for whether it can be stronger or not, it all depends on the phantom talent, such as Stark, Nellie, and Helly. Bell, who has reached Vastord by his own efforts and talent, is definitely the top talent, so if they are finally completely dead, the improvement will be the greatest. It's a pity that Hannibal and Stark in the original book were used by Eisen using Bengyu, but now they can't. With Liu Chengkong's interference, how would they destroy their potential and growth qualifications for Bengyu? It's 8, the Princes of the Virtual Circle. Liu Chengkong waved his hand, followed by Stark, Nellie L., Harabel, and their respective officials. That's right, there are 2 more daughters of them. Don't misunderstanding, Liu Chengkong's charm is not so great. Nellie Liu is grateful to Liu Chengkong for saving her life. At the same time, she has made herself understand so much, and made herself change so much. At the same time, she also has a circle of life in her eyes, and she has a good impression of Liu Chengkong, and she can see that Liu Chengkong is useless to the god of death and the virtual. The hatred and disgust in the eyes of ordinary people, plus she knew that Liu Chengkong was not the god of death in the soul realm. Then the only place to go is in the present world. Since Stark can follow him, why can't she be deterred? If she leaves, then of course her subordinates will keep up with them. It's just that the strength of their masks removed at this time can't keep up, right? Looking for death. And Harabel also dislikes the life in the virtual circle like Nellie L., and at the same time she is still a little worried about Nellie L. Of course, there are reasons why she doesn't want to be separated from Nellie L., and she also has a little bit towards Liu Chengkong. Curious, she is also curious about life in this world, so she followed suit. As for her subordinate officials, although they are subordinate officials in name, in fact they are treated as sisters. Wherever Hannibal goes, they will of course follow, so Liu Chengkong and others, who originally only had 2 people to come to the virtual circle, are now changed. Go back as a group. 439 Nilu's amazing talent. Haha, it will be more and more exciting in the future. 10 Blades has left 2 of them and their subordinates because of their own, while Nellie Liu did not suffer the catastrophe of the original book. Instead, she saw through her own shortcomings, and her mood improved. The transformation went further, and the strength not only did not go backwards like the original, but became much more powerful, and the same was true for Stark. Eisen, I'm so sorry for you, I accidentally abducted so much power of the Zai Palace, hey. I don't want to either, but seeing your original work is so pretentious, if I don't feel sorry for you, I will really feel sorry for myself, and there are 2 more virtual circles. There are very few beautiful women with such high strength and aptitude at the same time, but I can't ask for it. What? Liu Chengkong still maintained a flat smile on the surface, but his heart was full of joy. You bastard, Liu Chengkong, I remember you. My Skull Emperor must kill you and smash your bones to ashes in order to relieve the hatred in my heart. You wait for me, I must become stronger. To become the real king of the virtual circle, I cannot surpass the Vastord level in a short period of time, so I can only start with the death of the gods. I must complete the death of the gods, not be a fake face, at all costs. You wait for me. After Liu Chengkong and his party completely disappeared from the sight of the great Skull Emperor Balagang Ruzengang, the Balagang Ruzengang slowly stood up, exuding a palpitating aura, and their eyes flickered. With an extremely dangerous and sinister light, his subordinate officials and the nearby 10 Blades in the lower ranks did not dare to approach. At the same time, in the desert not far from the Zai Palace, a man with blood on his face and wounds all over his body, like a praying mantis, suddenly opened a pair of eyes that were similar to those of the Balagang Ruzengang. That's right, this dummy is Nutra, who was retaliated by Nellie Liu to avenge his own official, and whose mask was torn off. Nellie L., you wait for me. Nutra dared not speak out, because he knew that the virtual circle was dangerous, especially at this time, and his strength was greatly weakened, and it became a falsehood that is no longer false. Broken face, I have to say, it's really a reward for a reward. Karma is not happy at all. In the original book, he shattered Nellie L's mask, causing Nellie L to lose her memory and become a kid. Even if her memory was finally retrieved, her strength would be greatly weakened, and at the same time, it took more than 100 years of time to become stronger. And now he is suffering the same feeling as the original Nellie L, and it is worse than Nellie L. At least Nellie Lu has amnesia, she is innocent and cute and can't remember anything, and she has two officials who silently guard her. She has a good time, but for him, an unscrupulous fighter, this kind of ending is really better than death. Even worse. Where should I go now? It's been at least 100 years since the beginning of the original book. By the way, I'll say that the buildings in the world at this time are a bit similar to the place where the female Bawant Soma Yoshino lived. At that time the buildings should be almost eliminated, so she should meet Carry a God at this time. No, I'll be ahead of him. Such a good woman can never be used to make blood essence made of human souls, and eat tools that won't age, so hurry up, absolutely can't let her be deceived. Even if it is Lu Chengkong's special piercing gate that passes through Urahara Kazuki, it is only useful if it is within a 20-meter radius of the place where it came in. Otherwise, it will not be possible to go back. Grimjiao, speed up, there are countless powerful gods of death on my side, and there are also many gods of death who have mastered the blur. And you, no matter what, at least you are by my side, then it is also responsible for you, and now there are two paths for you to choose. I know a Grim Reaper. He has an item that can completely transform and empty a Grim Reaper without the slightest side effects. If you want, I can make you completely undead. The second option is to comprehend the complete face breaking alone. To transform, to reach the peak of Vastord, to break through Vastord to achieve a complete death transformation that best fits the symbol of your own power and soul, you choose. Lu Chengkong is good to the people around him, especially women. Of course, the premise is that they have no sinister intentions. They are good to them, and they will not ruin their future for the sake of making them stronger in a short time. And put two paths in front of them, allowing them to choose freely. What do you mean is that although the death deification completed with the props does not have any side effects, the ability obtained is different from your own strength and spiritual symbol? Then it should be the most powerful one, right? He said. Libel asked. That's right, they're all Vastods. With similar strengths, the phantom of a prop that helps to transform into a god of death is at least 3 times weaker than the one who comprehends the strength of the god of death best. How many times more powerful than those who rely on props to be deified depends on the individual's good fortune and aptitude. At least the ones I can be sure of now are Stark, Harabel, and the desire to devour Achukas, who has never been able to control himself, has never devoured any emptiness, and can reach Vastord. And you are getting closer and closer to the complete death of Nellie Lu. I can already confirm that your aptitude within 3 days is definitely at the top level, and the improvement you will get after complete death will also belong to the greatest. Lu Chengkong nodded and explained a little. So that's the case, so who has the highest aptitude among the 3? Lord Hannibal, Lord Stark, and Lord Nellie? A subordinate of Hannibal called Sun Sun asked curiously. There is no need for Lu Chengkong to say this now. Stark and Harabel, and even Grimjiao, who has just reached the Chukas, looked at Neliel. Obviously, they all felt that Neliel should be the most qualified. Yes, although they are all top-notch, they can still distinguish between highs and lows. Of course, they all belong to the top-notch. If you can survive without any accident, then the future strength will not be too different. At most, Nellie Elu is stronger. Of course, no matter what is false, the qualification is poor or good, the final level can be achieved, the strength is strong and the qualification is not the decision. As for everything, aptitude is the speed and limit of improvement. According to the theory, the higher the aptitude, the better. The actual situation still depends on the individual's chance, fortune and achievements. It's just that if you directly guess and look at it, of course, the aptitude and talent of Nelielu, who has never devoured void, is the best. It is completely based on her own talent to comprehend the deficiency caused by not swallowing void and improving spiritual power. Yes, under such circumstances, Neliel can still reach such a height. If Neliel is devouring the void, it will be really incredible in the future. 440 The Rules of 8,000 Streams. At least Stark, Grimjow, and Haribel didn't dare to be under others, but they all wrote a word or two in their hearts when facing Nellier, asking them to join Nellier. If Lu didn't swallow Shu like that, they wouldn't dare to say that they could reach this point. At the speed of Lu Chengkong and his party, they were on the road at full speed, plus 3 Vastord levels, all of which were already pseudo-cracked and approached to be completely broken. The spiritual pressure released by Lu Chengkong and his party never met. He was able to travel at full speed after any attack, so when he went, Lu Chengkong took a week to get to Zai Palace, but it took only 3 days to return to the place where he used the crossing gate. It's here, wait a moment, the door to the realm will open. Lu Chengkong took out something similar to a remote control, tapped it, and placed it on the ground. Soon a black hole appeared in the air in front of him, similar to the opening of a black cavity. Lu Chengkong beckoned to the group behind him, and then rushed in first, and immediately behind Halibal and others jumped in as well. Soon Lu Chengkong and the others crossed the boundary and came to the basement of Kazuki Urahara's broken shop. Come with me. Lu Chengkong returned to the ground with Nelly Lu and his party behind him. Kazuki Urahara appeared in a timely manner, and Lu Chengkong did not forget what he promised Kazuki Urahara before, and directly broke a fake face. Throwing it over, even the kindest Nelly Elu couldn't help but want to give him a knife to this ugly face that everyone hates in the Xingye Palace, and of course he wouldn't have the slightest dissatisfaction with what Lu Chengkong did. Hey, is this a fake face? It seems that the virtual circle of the virtual circle has already started to study, but this is obviously a natural pseudo-death deification, rather than relying on Bengyu. Although their pseudo-death deification technology is not comparable, my Bengyu is direct, fast, and complete, but in terms of potential, the future of development is indeed better than Bengyu by relying on comprehension and talent with the information in the virtual circle. However, there should be very few ghosts who can comprehend complete death by self-realization. Just a few of them should be possible to achieve. This guy's luck is really good. He went to the virtual circle and turned 3 more and more. Vastord, who is close to being completely dead, should not let Aizen let go of the Hanyu in my hand. It seems that we can only start from Bengyu. This kind of props that can produce complete death in a short period of time in batches. Although the potential and development prospects are not comparable to natural understanding, it is enough for Aizen. My plan is to implement it soon. Urahara Kazuki lowered his head and glanced at the fake face under his feet. At the same time, his eyes under the hat flashed a terrifying gleam as he watched the back of Lu Chengkong and his party leaving. He really deserved to be the top invention and research technologist. Just glanced at it. The pseudo-broken face under his feet has guessed so much information, and he is also a monster whose wisdom is no less than that of Aizen, or even slightly better than that of Aizen. I'm so sorry, Mr. Pseudo-Broken. During this period of time, I've been aggrieved by your cooperation in the research. If you cooperate well, I don't mind letting you go if you survive. Although Urahara Kazuki used a requesting tone, his movements did not show any hint of request, but instead directly pulled the fake face under his feet towards his laboratory. Not to mention that Kazuki Urahara is about to turn his back on the false face of Kazuki Urahara, a scientist and eccentric tortured, but to say that Lu Chengkong has returned to his long-separated home at this time. Built Palace. Wow, is this your home? It's so big. Are you really sentenced to leave the Soul Realm? Why are other gods of death so low-key when they defected, but you are so high-profile? He said curiously with big watery eyes. If the soul world wants to come to you, even if you are low-key or high-profile, it is the same. Why should you feel wronged? And I have never thought that the god of death in the soul world of our city, in their opinion, I am a betrayal. In fact, I just left by myself. Lu Chengkong looked at the familiar scenery around him, and finally felt a sense of home. Although it didn't have the richness of the previous Shin Xiaoyao, he still had it initially. Now he is working hard to improve his strength in order to open the seal of the ring. Okay, just treat this as your home. If you see this line, the man lives on the right side and the woman lives on the left side. You can use everything in it as you like. If it's damaged, it's nothing to ask someone to repair it. Anyway, Here is the place. It's very safe, but I can't let myself have no sense of crisis. It's just a little more comfortable here compared to the virtual circle. There is also a basement under this palace. You can practice in it. You don't need to worry too much. There are enchantments in it. Shu said, don't stare, although you think you are a leopard now, you are also a man. You can do whatever you want before you cross the border on the right, but don't cross the border, otherwise you will be at your own risk, and even I may not be able to save you. Reiatsu, or there are some red buttons there, you can press it and I'll be there right away. Lu Chengkong explained the matters to be paid attention to here, and then left Grimjiao and Stark directly behind, and let them explore for themselves and understand the life in this world. It may be more than 100 years from the original book. Well, the current world at this time is still not as advanced and high-tech as the original world. How did you get separated? Maybe it was because she came to this world, without the suppressed feeling of the virtual circle. The lively, cheerful, and restless Nellie L still couldn't hold back her curiosity and asked. It's very simple, just ask the 8,000 streams on my shoulders. Lu Chengkong didn't feel ashamed for his words at all. It was obviously his habit in the world of One Piece, King of Pirates. The women lived with him, the men were on the other side and were not allowed to cross the border, but now he was putting everything away. Pushed to the body of the 8,000 flow. However, Lu Chengkong did not wrong Bachenliu, because Bachenliu, who was the president of the Death God Women's Association when the palace was established, immediately waved his hand, and let Lu Chengkong's face full of joy and joy without anyone questioning it. As a rule, no man, except Lu Chengkong, could cross the border. If necessary, just follow what Lu Chengkong said just now to inform Lu Chengkong and the others. Shi Bachenliu doesn't mind using the body of the president to chat with those male creatures who have crossed the border.